Very itchy. What's up, Work Noob? How's it going, Invictus Rage? It's actually starting to feel a little bit better, genuinely. It is really, really badly, like days like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're on about like day 10, 11 now, maybe day 12. And it's definitely starting to itch. Like, it still itches, but it definitely itches less badly. For anybody who can see it. Attempting to rock a beard for literally the first time in my entire life. I've been pretty hairy, like I've just been shaving regularly since, I was a teenager or whatever, and I don't doubt my ability to grow it, but I don't really like face itching. I'm very big on comfort. I do think if it stops itching, it's going to end up being a good play, but if it's going to feel the way it feels right now still, on like day 11 or so, forever, I will have to shave. But if the itching goes away completely, I'm determined to rough it out. Well, thanks, I appreciate it. I'm not really about, like, for the aesthetics either way. I don't really care, to be honest. I mean, I appreciate the compliment. I just want to stop having to take a razor to my face twice a week. I'm just looking forward to maybe just a light beard trimmer every 2 weeks, let's say, a little buzz, instead of, like, a razor trim. Hey, you're welcome, Trex. That's awesome. Yeah, Loathsome Troll is, I think, one of the bigger overperformers. I mean, it looks like a really fancy, powerful uncommon. It's not like I take Owlbear over it. But it is a pretty good way to grind out some wins in close games in this format. So I'm glad that really helped you, Trex. And congratulations on the 7 wins. Also, thank you, Gut Punk. Appreciate the subscription. Don't know who you're punking, but not me since you just subscribed. So thank you for the support. Also, thank you, Ixo. Appreciate the 28 months of support. How you doing tonight? I see all 8 people are here already, so we should be firing our draft shortly. What's up, Plucky Hero? Sorry about the bad finish, Dennis, but 6-3 is still a good draft. I'd take 6-3 every draft. Although it is disappointing. Although it's that first loss that's the most disappointing, because I don't know about you, everybody values different things. But, like, I get my share of 7-win drafts, but, like, 7-0s are pretty rare. So, like, when I start to be, like, 5-0, I start to taste the 7-0, And then I always get a little disappointed when I get my first loss. But then, look, I don't really care that much if I finish 6-3 or 7-2 or 7-1. But, like, whenever I can taste the 7-0, then it really starts to, like, get to be a little. What's up, Josliam? Have a good night to you as well. I'm good. We're drafted. I had a super busy day. I couldn't really jump on earlier, and I'm just doing this draft and signing off. But I'm still definitely going to show up and try and beat these people out in the sweatsuit tonight. Sorry about your voice. Well, my voice should be nice and recharged, so that's good. Nice. The two werewolf rares, like 2 of the 3/3 for 2. Yeah, that card's sweet. Hey, thanks, Soup Dave. I don't know, Glenn C. We'll see if it's fun. I mean, at this point, it's really just about how fun the format is to me and stuff like that. It is AFR tonight, I believe. I mean, I'm not... Yeah, it says it right up there in faded print in the card pool. If you look like... you see in the center of the screen on this, like, Haruka app thing where it says card pool sets, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is, like, faded out, but it's still there, so I assume that's it. Hey, thanks, Rachel. Appreciate the 31 months of support, literally the whole time I've been streaming. Yeah, that one of the cooler little features. I'm not, everybody knows I'm not that big on stuff like badges and features and stuff. But one of the ones that I think is kind of cool is that first subscriber badge. Not like just because it was like day one, the first 50 or whatever it is. So it's pretty cool when 3 years later somebody has that next to their name. Of course, anybody with the champions has been subscribing for over a year, which is infinite. Thanks, Logic897. Appreciate your rap and your good work. I know I always say that, but it remains true. Teach more people more logic. I can maybe show the bracket. I have to literally pull it up. I'm not opposed to it, but if this draft fires soon, I have to click back and forth. Also, I exited the Discord to try and avoid that screen popping noise thing. I've been working on the tech stuff a little bit while I've definitely not been streaming as much, but like I don't know what to do about that. It's like a Discord 2 Yeti mic 2 Streamlabs problem. Like it's not like, the background noise, which I was able to fix just by tinkering with it for a while and getting the settings right. And it was a decent amount of effort, but like I said, it was just 30 minutes of like, playing and listening to it and playing and tinkering with the settings. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do about the Discord mic popping thing. It only happens when I'm on Discord. Literally never happens otherwise. It's obviously something to do with the Discord Streamlabs settings. I tried the streamer mode thing that Gratz Cutie mentioned. That was a good idea to try, but it didn't solve the problem. So I just literally, I'm clueless. Yeah, the 2/2 Goblin's really good. Honestly, I mean, people were calling it like the Mythic Common. It is the most powerful, but it's a lot easier to answer. As time has gone on, I'm kind of more into... I mean, listen, that card's fantastic. I'll take it over Dragonfire or any red common. But I'm kind of more into the Black Reaper's Talisman thing. I think that's just impossible to answer and race, whereas like the Battlecry Goblin can win a game maybe from further behind, but also just dies like plenty of the time, right? I really think that Talisman is probably the best uncommon. Whatever that thing's called. Obviously, having 5 of the uncommon Battlecry Goblins is incredible, too. I'm not hating. Like, that's ridiculous. But yeah, I just find, like, the Talisman, since it can't really be answered, like, I mean, they could have Artifact kill, but there's a lot more creature kill than Artifact kill. And it's just so, like... I mean, you send your worst creature if they have, like... better creatures than it, and then they have to trade down and get drained for 2. You send your best creature if they have no profitable block, and then they, like, chump or take, like, 5 or 6 and get drained for 2. Then you gain... Like, it's unraceable, unbeatable in, like, every way. I just don't even know, like... And it's an artifact, so it's hard to kill. Like, I can see how the Battlecry Goblin is more powerful than the Talisman just kind of, like, by themselves, but it dies to 10 different commons that are heavily played, as opposed to the Talisman, which dies to almost nothing. Okay, so anyway, these cards don't matter. Always appreciate the subscription, but you are wrong. These cards do matter right now. You still have the best name on all of Twitch. Just my unbiased opinion. But these cards, do they matter? Maybe they don't. They look pretty bad. So I think Treasure Chest is basically Cunio's invitational card. I don't know if he designed it or not, but it's a whole lot of nothing. Like, this card just really doesn't do anything. Like, obviously it can, but I just think the total value is basically nothing. You Meet in a Tavern's, like, pretty bad. I mean, it's not like I could never see playing it. Ray of Frost is fine removal. We could definitely take that. Dungeon Crawler's, like, an okay playable card, but it's not like some good uncommon. You Hear Something on the Watch is probably the best common in this pack, or Veteran Dungeoneer. The Dungeoneer has actually been a pretty big overperformer, in my opinion. 3/4 is a nice-sized body in this format, full of 2/2s trying to hit and go into the dungeon. And it goes in the dungeon when it comes into play, so if you trade it off right away, it's still pretty good. I think this is Ray of Frost. I think it's the best card in the pack if you're not, like, worried about the color or whatever. But after that, the 2 white commons are, like, pretty good. You Hear Something on a Watch and Veteran Dungeoneer would probably be my next choices out of this pack. So Targnar is good, but of course it's a red, green, gold card. Dragon's Fire is probably a better choice. If we were red-green, I think we'd take Targnar over Dragon's Fire. But we could still go red-blue or red anything for that matter. Other than that, Thieves' Tool has been one of the big overperformers in the set, in my opinion. This is not a card that would be good in most sets, but because so many of the creatures, when they attack, venture to the dungeon, or when they connect, venture to the dungeon, or when they connect, draw a card, or whatever, or when they attack, they have pack tactics, get something, whatever, Thieves' Tool has just been an incredible overperformer for me in this format. Like, way better than I think it would be in the vast majority of formats. That said, I think here I'm going to take Dragonfire. I mean, blue-black's pretty defensive. You can still use a Thieves' Tool, but it's not going to be its best. Dragon's Fire is better than Thieves' Tool, and we're not going to take a blue card since the best blue cards in this pack are kind of fillerish. These cards are both fine, but they're not good. So, I mean, the best card in this pack is, like, Targnar, but that's a red, green, gold card. Second best card is Dragon's Fire. Third, probably Thieves' Tools. And, I mean, so that means we'll take the one color card that's the second best card in the pack here. Hey, let's roll some dice, right? Is it dice is a good archetype? I'm down. I mean, we'll see what gets passed to us. I'm not in any way committed to is it. If I didn't play blue or red in this draft, I wouldn't care. Like, these are both just, like, okay type common cards. I know Ray of Frost is uncommon, but in terms of quality of the card, they're just, like, fine removal, nothing special. So but if red-black rolls, red-blue rolls some dice is what we're trying to do. There is the Barbarian dice rolling class. I think this card's kind of bad, though. It's so aggressive, and sometimes your opponent's just on the play. White Dragon is a card I like a lot, so I'll probably end up taking that. Happy to still go white-blue or white-red, certainly, and drop one of these two cards. As far as the rest of this pack, yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, this whole pack is bad except the White Dragon. White Dragon's excellent, though. 6 mana, like, you'd rather have a 6 mana 4/4 flyer than like a 7 mana 5/5 flyer, generally speaking. You know, you just one important less mana that you have to draw to get it in play. And then this slows down the opponent, so it's really hard to race. You can, like, untap and then mount your defenses, because, you know, it taps a creature for a turn. I'm a pretty big fan. I'm not going to take Pixie Guide over White Dragon just because I have a Ray of Frost. White Dragon is a lot better than Pixie Guide, in my opinion. So now we can look at Blue Dragon. It's another of the good dragons. You know, like I said, I'd rather have a 6 mana 4/4 flyer than a 7 mana 5/5 flyer, but Lightning Breath's pretty good. Basically fogs their whole next attack. Otherwise, there's Planar Ally. I definitely would take that of the white cards in this pack. Rally Maneuver is actually pretty good. That's not one of it's actually not that hard to get a 2-for-1 with Rally Maneuver, but you need like 2 creatures to be clashing at the same time. But since it's an uncommon, people don't really play around it, so you can definitely get your 2-for-1s there. So I think Charm Sleep, Blue Dragon, I think Blue Dragon's better. Planar Ally and Rally Maneuver, I think, are both pretty good, but I think Ally's probably better. I feel like I just take Blue Dragon here. I mean, if we're seeing Charm Sleep and Blue Dragon, fourth here, like, it has to be at least somewhat open. And with multiple dragons, we can get the Dragon's Matter cards, like the 2 mana 1/3s. Dragons are not the kind of thing that generally gets better in multiples, but because they're late game cards. But there are dragon payoffs, like the 2 mana 1/3, which, look, that's a good card if it's a 2 mana 2/4. It's a bad card if it's a 2 mana 1/3. So, like, you know, if you have 2 dragons, that's still going to be a 1/3 a lot of time. But if you have 4 or 5 or something, then it becomes a good card. All right, so Iron Golem sucks. I've tried this card. It's just very bad. I don't know if this was meant as a trap, but I know it's a Juggernaut reference, but, like, I've been very disappointed with that card. Planar Ally is good, Air Cult Elemental's good, Delver's Torch is good, so for now we're still assuming blue-white. Remember, we could just as easily go blue-red or whatever. The only thing is, like, I'm not going to take Hoarding Ogre over these better white and blue cards. We have a lot of expensive cards already. I don't think I want to be taking common 6-drops right here. So even though it doesn't look like it's going to suit our deck well, it's Delver's Torch or Planar Ally. I think Planar Ally is better, although I do like Delver's Torch. I just don't know if we're going to end up like a control deck with not that many little creatures or anything like that. I think you could definitely take Torch there. There's plenty of configurations of creatures I have at the end of this draft that I regret that pick and would rather have taken Torch. But we already have a 6 and a 7 and a removal spell. This deck's looking like a control deck so far. I know we're only 4 or 5 picks in. I'm not trying to be anchored to that. I'm just saying at this point, I'm assuming it's going to be a more defensive type of deck. Yeah, Eye of Vecna will go well if we play like a late game control deck with defense and card drawing. Although I'm not sure if it's better than Soul Knife Spy. I really like Soul Knife Spy. I think Soul Knife Spy is the best of these cards, to be honest. Let me talk about this card a little bit. It's kind of counterintuitive. I actually think this card is better in defensive decks than aggro decks. I know that sounds weird because it's when it deals combat damage, it does something. Here's why. So let's say you're on the aggressive, right? And I play Soul Knife Spy. If you attack with your creature that's already in play and I take it and you play a creature, now you only have 1 blocker up. Now I can kill your blocker, hit you with the Spy, and draw a card, right? And that's just awesome. So if you want to prevent that, you have to not attack with the creature that's already in play. Okay, then I probably can't attack with the Spy, but now I just gained life. Now your 2 or 3 drop didn't attack me because you wanted to have 2 creatures back to block Soul Knife Spy. So I think this is one of the most like counterintuitive things. Not that I think it's that big of a deal, but I actually think Soul Knife Spy functions better in control-ish decks than in aggro decks. Now aggro decks may have some bit more ways to get it flying or get it through, or some ways that'll make it function better specifically if you have those cards. But just as a whole, so imagine a game where you're the aggro deck, right? You play Soul Knife Spy. Your opponent wants to leave their creatures untapped to block your Soul Knife Spy because you're the aggro deck. They don't want to attack you. They want to block and not let you attack them. On the other hand, imagine you're the defensive deck. You play Soul Knife Spy. Now, if your opponent wants to have 2 creatures back instead of 1, they're missing damage. So it's actually really counterintuitive, but and listen, the card's fine in either deck. And like I said, aggro decks may have more equipment or some other ways to get it through. But I think Soul Knife Spy is actually at its best in more of a defensive deck than a aggro deck. Okay, obviously we're going to take Hama here. I wish I could take this whole pack. I'd like the Dragon's Disciple. I'd like You Hear Something on the Watch. But getting that blue-white gold on common 8th pick, don't mind if we do. All right, let's see. Treasure chest, again, I'm not looking to be trolled. This is a whole lot of nothing. I mean, you get your mana back, just basically a whole lot of nothing. You ambush on the road is filler, but it's fine. Same thing with polymorph. These are both like playable tricks, not exciting. I don't know which I like better. Probably your ambush on the road, especially if we have a bunch of expensive stuff. It's easier to leave up 1 than 2. Here has great stats. What's here? Alright, so I think we just want the 5 mana 4/5 blocker. Even like I've said, we are clearly a very controlling deck. I mean, 6 mana non-impact the board is not what we need when we already have 5, 6, and 7s. Powerful card drawing goes well with cheap removal, not with other powerful late game cards. We'd rather just make a creature drop on turn 5. Oh yeah, I like You Hear Something on the Watch. Yeah, that card is excellent. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to take it over Hama. Like, if you're blue-white already, like I might take You Hear Something on the Watch, pick 2 over Hama, because I don't think I'm going to end up blue-white. But at this point, I'm seeing blue-white, right? Like, I'm pretty clearly just going to be a blue-white deck. So at that point, Hama's definitely better. I mean, every time you enter the dungeon, you get an extra one. Like, you know, you get an extra trigger, like an extra scry, an extra damage, an extra plus one. I mean, that's huge. Like, obviously, like, you don't want to go blue-white because you open Hama. Like, this isn't, you know, Slime Tongue, whatever it's called, Slime Foot thing that's totally busted from Dominaria. But once you're already blue-white, I like, you know, I like You Here on the Watch, but, like, Hama's better. Like, that's just not, there's not really a question. I'm not talking about pick one, pack one. Pick one, pack one, take the 1 color card. Hama's not that busted. But if you're already a blue-white deck, like, I think Hama's better. Something on the Watch, yeah. I draft whatever's there, Shine. I wasn't trying to go into blue. I mean, I think that Ray of Frost was the best card in pack 1 pretty clearly. I mean, right? Ooh, we could get a second Hama. Doesn't matter that it's a legend. You're not going to draw both and have both out and alive. I think I like it. We don't have that much venture into a dungeon yet, but we can prioritize it. Planner Ally is good for that. That's it, but if we get a second Hama here, we're definitely going to draft more. The only thing is we can table this card, right? Unless somebody hates it, there's no blue-white drafter in this draft besides me. There are probably blue or white drafters, and maybe someone can splash it, but what are we taking over it if we're trying to table the Hama? Planner Ally, Contact Other Plane. These are pretty mediocre cards. Like, if there was, like, you know, the white removal spell, like 3 mana Minimus Containment or whatever it's called, I'd take that over Hama here, even though I think Hama's better, because there's a better chance we table Hama, but I don't think I'm going to gamble to try and table a Planner Ally that we'll probably table anyway. So I'm just going to take it. Because I also, getting the second one of those, I really want to prioritize all the dungeon stuff now I can. Oh yeah, I mean, Missile's better than Hama, no question, but we're not red. I know we have a Dragon's Fire, but like I said, we're seeing blue and white. I mean, we're just a blue-white deck at this point, right? Like, don't look at our red cards. Maybe we'll splash if we make some treasures, but I mean, like, this is our deck. Okay, so I don't think Split the Party is good. I think it's too situational, just not a very good card. Silver Raven's not great. I mean, you can play it. Scry 1 helps you get the card back. Oh, there's something on a watch. Now we can take it. I think that's pretty clearly the best card here. I mean, Spike Pit Trap's fine. Bar the Gate's, like, not good, but maybe I could play it. You Hear Something on the Watch is the best card in this pack substantially for blue-white. I don't think it's particularly close. Kind of wish I got that Delver's Torch now that I have these 2 Hamas, but hopefully we'll get some more opportunities to do so. Yeah, no, Privy, there's no question we're more likely to table the blue-white gold card than the white card. The thing is, we already have 2 5s, a 6, and a 7. So whereas, yes, I'm going to play another Planner Ally, and I actually like Planner Ally quite a bit, I just don't want to gamble for another 5. You know what I mean? Like, if I take it and then I don't get the Hama back, I'm going to be real pissed. Of course, there's a higher chance we would table the Hama than the Planner Ally. Okay, Plate Armor's pretty good. This is not the type of deck that wants a ton of equipment or anything, but I guess we can play 1+3/3. Anyways, we'd be taking Arborea Pegasus, which probably offers us even less, so pretty easy pick. Hey, thanks, Milketh MTG. Appreciate the subscription. Fuzzy Edge, what is Bar's stats? What is Bar's? What are we talking about? What is Bar the Gates? Some of these cards have such long names. I don't even know what card that is. Like, I probably know the card. I just don't know the name, but... Oh, the 3-mana counter? I don't love that card in this format, and I like counter spells. I always say counter spells is my favorite card of all time. I'm Blue Mage at heart, but I actually don't like that card in this format. So this format's all about like not letting people get in attacks where they get to like hit you and venture for free. Like if they attack and venture and you trade, whatever. But you can't really let people just like attack and venture and not trade, and then they get to attack and venture again next turn and so on. So this is a format about impacting the board. So I'm not really high on Open the Gates. So if you fall behind at all and like you're just attacking and venturing, you just lose with that card in your hand. I'm not saying it's not playable. Like obviously if you need a card, you can put an Open the Gates in your deck or Bar the Gates, whatever. I just don't really like that card very much. Fabled Trickster, I do like if you're rolling die, but do we even do that? We have like no die rolling, right? I mean, making 1/1's sweet, but we literally don't roll a die. We have a Pit Trap. I guess what's our other option? Half-Elf Monk and Fine Villain's Lair. These are both fine. I actually prefer this to the Bar the Gates because when you're behind, you can just loot. I'm going to take the Half-Elf Monk, though. We don't have any 4-drops. Mana Sink should be fine for our deck. We're not looking to play short games or anything like that. So I have Vecna. This could be a nice win condition. There's a lot of life lost, though. And our deck's already, like, kind of slow and powerful, so it's not really what we need. Powerful card drawing, like I have Vecna, is good for, like, black-red control decks and stuff like that, where you keep your life high with all that cheap removal. If you've got a better late game than the opponent anyway, you don't really want to deal yourself damage to draw cards. I mean, obviously there's a rate where it's worth it, but I'm just saying it's not very exciting in terms of what it's offering us. Fly's a good card. And yeah, with the 2 Hammers, we have to take this, right? It's just definitely the pick. Yeah, even if we're not an aggro deck, just the fact that we attack once and then we get a double trigger like something is just... Then if they kill it, we already got two venture into the dungeons. Like, that's fine. This pack's not going very well, so I assume that there's the other blue-white players are to my left, and that we'll have a much better pack 3 again. We'll blame them for not reading what I passed as opposed to blaming me. So, let's see. I don't think any of these cards are likely going to make my deck. Probably Silver Raven over Devoted Paladin. Yeah, Fly's fine. If I'm an aggro deck, I like Fly a lot. This isn't a deck that would normally want Fly, I think, but with 2 Hamas, I think it becomes worth it. But I think Fly's good if you're, like, any sort of aggressive deck. Like, you just play it when they're tapped, get in, get damage, get a dungeon. If they've got the removal, so be it, but you're not putting it on a good creature anyway. So, sack an artifact. This card's just bad, right? I mean, we could sack our 1-mana artifact to go get a 2-mana one or something. Like, obviously, it's a fancy 2-mana 2/2, but I think Soul Knife Spy is pretty clearly better with plate armor and some removal and pump and fly and all of that stuff. We do need 2-drops. I wouldn't say super badly. As I've said 10,000 times, we're not an aggro deck, so you hear something on the watch can hit their creature if it's attacking, so it can Ray on Ray of Frost. So we have 2 defensive 2-drops, no offensive ones. But if you're not really worried about aggression, then defensive cards count. We can use our mana and not get run over. But I agree, we do want to be aware of that the rest of the way. So I'll grab the counter here. 50 feet of rope is just horrible. Hey, you're welcome, Lasharud. I always appreciate the good conversation, and thanks for joining the stream. Yeah, maybe with the double dungeon trigger, but rope is honestly just really slow and bad. Like, I mean, I get, like, we're a double hammer control deck, but hopefully we'll find some more efficient ways to do it. So, Contact on Other Plane I don't like a lot, but we already have 2 5s that are effectively better than this, because, we could always cut the second Rhyme Shield, so it would be our 3rd best 5. I think I'm going to go with the card drawing, but it's probably pretty close. Yeah, 2/2 lifelink would be sweet, for sure. I don't mind the 2/1 roll a die, draw a card in the late game thing as much as some people. I mean, still blocks a lot of the 2/2 death touches and 2/2s early, and then in the late game it's a nice card. I understand it doesn't match up well with some of the cards in this format, and I agree with that, but I still think it's I think people are maybe overreacting a little bit to that. I don't know, we're not going to play any of these, I don't care. Oh, Contact's not very good, no. But it was that or Rhyme Shield number 2, which would be my 3rd 5-drop here in pack 2. So, I mean, I don't think we were looking to play Contact, but if we end up with a lot of cheap cards ahead and not, much else more behind it, we might. I don't think, if we need another 5-drop, I might play a second Rhyme Shield, but again, it's, 2nd Rhyme Shield and we have a Planner Ally. Yeah, counters, instants, ways to spend your mana on the opponent's turn, like counters, flash creatures, etc. Make contact better, as Ciota is pointing out, because you can leave your mana up, and if they play something worth countering, you can counter it, and if not, you can contact instead. Definitely agree with that. I like Cloister Gargle quite a bit. It's kind of what we're trying to do with the dungeon stuff. Probably going to end up taking that, but let's look through the rest of the pack. Potion, whatever, filler fine. I like this pack as 2 playable 2s. Maybe, hopefully we'll get one of these back, because we do need some 2s. We don't need a lot, but we need a couple. But hopefully we can get back Investigator or Dawnbringer Cleric. I think there's a pretty clear Cloister Gargoyle. I mean, it's not going to be hard for us to complete dungeons, right? I mean, I guess you still have to do them the same number of times. But if we choose, like, the middle one that's only 4 to clear, or the Annihilation if we're ahead, I mean, we'll turn this thing on. I mean, look, Merchant and Asmodeus are both nice cards, but, I mean, we're not switching to black. Like I said, we have a blue-white deck. Like, half our cards are blue, half are white, and blue and white both seem relatively open. I mean, I'm all about drafting the hard way when we need to, and I took a Dragonsfire, like, pick 2 of this draft or something. But, I mean, it doesn't seem like we're supposed to be switching colors. It seems like we're supposed to draft blue-white in the seat. Okay, so I would play third Hama, but I'm a lot less excited about it. Unfortunately, there's not much from blue or white I am excited about. There is that Reaper's Talisman, which I talked about at the start of the draft, and it is colorless to equip. So if I can get treasures to cast it or a black mana to cast it, I could definitely splash it. I mean, this card is just 1 black once, so you never have to pay black again, and I think it's probably the best uncommon in the set. Otherwise, we take Hama number 3, because we don't even necessarily want to play any of these 3 cards. But we don't have any treasure making of any kind, right? If we roll right with Spike Pit Trap, we don't have an Evolving Wilds. Yeah, I'm not going to splash. And Hama is really good, and who knows if we table it or not. Whoever the black player is that I'm passing to, congratulations. Yeah, you can make treasures venturing into dungeons. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I mean, it's not the first one, but it comes up pretty quick. What is it, the second one of Fandelver? That's a pretty good point, actually. Maybe I should have thought about that a little more. Because that's something we could do consistently. We could just put 0 swamps in our deck and just play the 1 Black Reaper's Talisman and then just try and cast it off treasure making. That might have been a mispick. I mean, I think I honestly didn't consider that. The fact that we're reasonably good about going to the dungeon and it's the second one of the dungeon we're going to choose the most, like, I probably should have took that card. Okay, I think it's a pretty easy Priest. It's a cheap drop, even if it's not a 2-drop, and it's just the best of the blue and white cards, I think, outside of maybe if we wanted way more power with Blue Dragon, but I don't think that's where we're at. We still got time to pick up a few 2-drops. I mean, it would be pretty surprising if we didn't table one out of the pack we open. So if we can grab, like, 2 more, then we'll have 3 2-drop creatures to go with our 2 2-drop removal spells, and I'll be fine with that. Not saying we will or won't. Hopefully we will. So Eccentric Apprentice is excellent. Just gives a 3-mana 2/2 flyer venture in the dungeon when you play it. But I think I have to take Steadfast Paladin at this point. I think in our deck, like if we had a good curve, I would rather have Eccentric Apprentice than Steadfast. They're both good cards. But given we do have like 7 3-drops and no 2-drops, it's pack 3. This is definitely Steadfast. It's not like, I don't think it's close at this point. I think it's close to begin with. And then normally I would go more like Eccentric Apprentice, but if you look at our curve, it's just literally ridiculous. We have 7 3-drop creatures, and that was our first 2-drop. So, and it's pack 3, so it's not close, obviously. Yeah, and if we could table that Hamas, that would be great. But if we can't, then it could be, it's, I'll play as many Hamas as I can get. Okay, so I think Secret Door, we're not an aggro deck. That's a fine early blocker, and it goes into the dungeon as a win condition, so that's actually sort of like a 2-drop. I mean, an early blocker. As far as Half-Elf Monk, or You Come to a River, I don't really like the bounce spells like You Come to a River in this format. Not saying you can never play it, but I don't think it's very good. I think this is a very easy Secret Door for us, to be honest, at this point. It's another early drop. We need to prioritize those. It's the one I want to play. It's defensive. It goes into the dungeon, etc., etc. Oh, I could go for more dungeon, but I don't have, like, none. I've got Fly, Secret Door now. I know I just got it. Cloister Gargoyle. Planner Ally. So we have 4. I'd like to get a few more, obviously. So it's Portable Hole, Porta Potty over here, or Charm Sleep. I don't know. I mean, the hole is cheaper, better at us not falling behind. The sleep's more powerful. Oh, I agree, Shine. I called that one pretty early. Bounce is just abysmal in this format. I hate Bounce. Sleep's good. I like Sleep more than, Porta Potty, but, I don't know, because we're pretty short on early drops, and we have 1,000,000 threes, so I kind of feel like I don't want to fall behind. I think more often than not, I would take Sleep over Hole, but I think here we actually need the Hole. Thanks, RoboKitty. We'll see what it ends up looking like. Tap an on-tap legendary creature you control venture to the dungeon. I don't think I have... Oh, I have a lot of legends. I hope this card's going to be great for us. Easy game. These are all legends. And I really don't like Bounce in this format, and we're not going to play either of these equipment. So this is an easy pick, whether we play it or not. But we probably will. We're a 2-color deck with 3 legends. Yeah, I agree. Knowledge Sinkhole. It's just a curve pick, honestly. If I had a bunch of 2s and 1s, I'd rather the more powerful removal and Charm Sleep. If I have a bunch of 3s and a powerful late game, I'd rather the cheap removal in the hole. All right, now it's Sleep over nothing. I think it's pretty much just a curve pick in that spot. So what do we want to get rid of? Like I said, I really don't like that. I don't really like these either. Everything else I have, I actually like a decent amount here, so... My next cards out would probably be Ambushed on the Road, or maybe the Pit Trap, but we don't have a ton of removal, and we are looking to play long games, so I probably want to play the Pit Trap. All right, so Arcane Investigator. Again, not like a world-class 2, but it's still a 2-drop that's playable on turn 2 and good in the late game. And we're lacking for 2s, so glad we got that back. So I feel like we did all right. With the Paladin and the Arcane Investigator, the Ray of Frost and the Something on a Watch, these aren't card drawing, these are removal spells. And then we also have the Hole in the Door. So we've got 6 cards that can prevent us from falling behind that cost 2 or less. So, I mean, I would like 1 or 2 more 2-drops. I'm not going to say I wouldn't. But I think we did all right. I don't think I'm going to get run over. Yeah, I'm probably not going to play the Conjure in this deck just because I have 1,000,000 threes, but we could. We could use 5, 6, 7 mana with this deck, so it could make its way into our deck. I don't think the land is good by any stretch, but if we're a 2-color 17 land deck with no splash, and we have 3 or 4 legends, because we have 3 Hamas and there's 1 more, I don't know if we're going to get it back or not, I think it's something we could consider playing, right? Especially because they synergize really well. I mean, we're getting to trigger twice every time we go through the trouble of tapping it. I'm in no way, shape, or form saying it's a good card. I'm going to take the inside for the sideboard because this is best of 3. Remember, you don't normally have 3 of a 2/3 legend, right? Of course, the land is not good, and it shouldn't come into play tap, probably. But yeah, I took it over almost nothing, and I think there's a decent chance we might play it. I think it's going to be a close call, depending on how much we want that 9th island or 9th plains. Yeah, I would have liked to get a little more venture, but of course we're still going to play them. So I'm disappointed that I didn't pick up more venture into the dungeon, but what are you going to do? Okay, so right now, let's see, is there anything in the sideboard we really want? No. So this is 25. Forget about the land for the second. I think this is pretty clearly a 17, so we have to cut 2. We have a lot of cheap cards, but we also want to make land drops up to 5, not up to 3. So that's generally 17. My general heuristic is and you deviate from this all the time. If I could win a game stuck on 3 mana, if I could be happy, if I wouldn't really mind, I won't say it's ideal, but I wouldn't really mind not making land drop 4, then I play 16. If I'm trying to hit my lands up to turn 5, then I play 17. If I'm trying to hit my lands up to turn 7, then I play 18. And I mean, look, I have 1/6, 1/7, but that's literally 1/6, 1/7 in the whole deck, and I can make a treasure or whatever. So this is a deck that I would view as wanting to hit its land drops up to 5. Yeah, you're right. Pegasus with 2 spies is actually pretty good. That card should probably go in. I missed that synergy. Because this is not an exciting card in this deck, but with the 2 spies, it should probably be in there. Okay, so 26. So we're looking to cut 3 cards. So let's first see if we have any obvious cuts. Not really. All of these cards are fine. I did most of the obvious cutting as we were drafting. All right, so then what are our weakest cards? I'll move them in the stack with the land since it's also one of our weakest cards. Like, what are we considering cutting? That's what I'm moving over. Like the Conjurer. The Pegasus probably should just be in with 2 spies. I just missed that. Contact on the plane could be cut. Probably not going to cut those creatures. So we're looking to cut like 3 of those 4. I think I just want to keep the removal. We just don't have a lot of removal. And then as far as the land, the longer the games are going to go, the better that card is. I could easily have a Hama out and no ways to venture. Like you said, we don't have a lot of ventures, but every time we do, we trigger twice. I think I'm going to play that land. So 8/8 and the land, 2-color deck, no splash, should be fine. Okay. I'm not saying that it's good or whatever. I would have took any good blue or white card over the land. Like any, good common. Like, nothing special, but like, you hear something on the watch or whatever. But I don't think that, I think with this deck, what do you mean no ventures? We don't have a lot of ventures, but we have like 4 or something. It's not 0. The reason bounce plays so bad in this format, it's a lot of small creatures that trade. The format really revolves around combat, so you just have a lot of like attack, get some small advantage block, like attack back, get some small advantage block. And as creatures trade and not race past each other and life totals stay up, bounce becomes like worth way less. If bounce can function as good as a removal spell if you end the game before your opponent can deploy all their resources, right? But imagine on turn 7, 8, you just bounce something and they just replay it. What did that bounce do? Gained you 3 life? So, like, basically the higher, like, pressure... Not the higher pressure. The shorter the games, the more games end while people still have resources in hand, the better bounce will usually play. There's a bunch of other factors, too, to be clear. And that's I like to talk about the underlying, like, things behind things, like, where the value comes from. All these things are multi-factor. So, like... I'm not going to be, like, wrong very often, but don't think, like, if I say, like, oh, bounce is worse in a format where creatures trade a lot and don't attack past each other. Like, yeah, that's true. I know what I'm talking about. But also, there's 4 other factors that greatly contribute to how good or bad bounce is, if you see the point I'm trying to make. I made up the number 4 there. The point is, like, it doesn't tell the whole story. It's just one of the things that contribute. And I'm just explaining which factor I think is causing bounce to not be very good in this format. I'm not saying it's the only thing that affects how good or bad bounce is in a format. Okay, so... Yeah, that too. Like, there's a lot of creatures with ETB effects, which are bad to bounce. Expensive creatures are also, like, where you get more value bouncing. And the green 6-drop gains 3 life. The blue 6-drop bounces a creature at common. There's the cycle of uncommon dragons that comes into play abilities. Like I said, bounce just really doesn't work that well in this format for a variety of reasons. Well, format speed actually makes bounce better. Like I said, if the games end sooner, that makes bounce better. Because that means people are dying before they can deploy all their resources, and bounce will actually function like efficient removal. The thing is, this format revolves around combat, but the games don't, like, end quickly. This isn't an aggressive format, so people like to misuse these words, aggressive and tempo, and I'm not here for semantics. But to me, aggression means, like, the games are ending really quickly. Tempo means you get, like, an advantage on board and then, like, continue to ride that out and it snowballs. This format can be very tempo-y, but it is not very aggressive. Like, you don't find your life total at 12 and you have no way to, like, block and you're just going to die on turn 6, like, 2 turns later very often in this format, right? But, like, if somebody's hitting you and venturing the dungeon and they get ahead, sure, then you play a blocker, but now they attack with 2 creatures. One of them ventures when it attacks, one of them ventures when it hits. Like, you fall behind and they ride that tempo advantage to victory. Bounce is good in tempo decks, but... like, blue is, like, a very controlling color, so it doesn't do the tempo thing very often in this format. And, like, again, like, it's better with aggression, where it can actually function as a removal spell. When it puts you a little up on board and you go down a card to do it, to venture into a dungeon, you don't really recover that whole card. Bounce is at its best when you're like literally ending the game with your opponent still having 2 cards in hand. Maybe they replayed the card you bounced, maybe they didn't. That doesn't matter. What matters is if they weren't able to play all of their creatures before the game ended, you effectively killed a creature with a bounce spell. Whether it's the one they replayed, even if they replayed the one you bounced, you just effectively killed a different creature that stays in their hand that they would have played had you not bounced the creature when you did, right? So basically, if they can't spend all their mana before they die, which is the primary way, aggression creates value, then bounce is at its best. This format doesn't play that way. This format is literally just like attack, venture, block, on tap, attack, venture, block, like blah, 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 blah. What about the Gargoyle? It's a fantastic card. What's the question? Okay, so, we just have to craft it. I was like, I thought I finished the stack. Shouldn't have to do very much here. Cool. Let's see who our round 1 opponent is. I'm going to have to go on Discord briefly. I apologize if your ears pop. I hope they don't. I don't know if they're going to or not. Once I pull up the bracket, I'm going to go off Discord so that hopefully ears won't pop. But Hama's the 3-mana 2/3. I'm not sure what you're talking about, like the Hama saying like, oh, you need a ton of ventures. It's not an 0/1 that gets a +1/+1 counter every time you venture. It's a 3-mana 2/3. Like if you trigger one venture like one extra time, like this is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Like you definitely don't need a lot to play it. You might need a lot for it to be busted, right? But it's not like only when you complete the dungeon. It's just every time you step in a dungeon, you get that ability twice. So instead of 1+1/+1 counter, you get 2. Instead of draw 1 card, you get 2. Instead of 1/1/1, you get 2, right? So 3-mana 2/3 legendary, not a good card. 3-mana 2/3 legendary and an additional 1/1, that's a good card. 3-mana 2/3 legendary and an additional, like, whatever, you get the point. Basically, it doesn't have to do much more than this to be good, so it's a good card. Okay, so what are we doing? We're pulling up the bracket. Let's see who we're playing against. But yes, it's not busted. I didn't get nearly as much venture as I'd want. I would have liked to have gotten substantially more venture. Blue-white is like probably the color combination that ventures the best. That's why they gave them Hama, the blue-white gold card. And like I don't venture particularly well. I'm not happy about that. Let's see if I can find the bracket. Okay, we have... Who do we got round 1? We have Master Shake. Okay, then. All right, let me get out of the Discord before your head explodes. Nobody's complaining, so I assume there was no popping there. No pops, that's what I like to hear. All right, let me tournament match. It's understandable. I'm not trying to blow your eardrums. I mean, that's unpleasant. Like I said, I really just don't even know what to do. It's not like I'm trying to be lazy on that one. If anybody's heard of this Discord problem and knows, like, the solution or something, feel free. But I have no idea what's going on with that. Good evening, Scruffles. Hey, what's up, Ryan Tucker? How you doing? How's this format treating you? Thank you, Iwan Caramasso. Appreciate it. All right, perfect hand to lose with. Of course, I would never mull a 2-lander on the draw like this. All my cards, well, 2 of my cards cost 3, and I can scry 1 with the Gargoyle looking for land 4. Whoa, go Shake Zilla. What are you talking about, Sentius? You're in the wrong stream. I'm sorry. I mean, I can get you their Twitch information. We don't root for Shaqzilla in this stream. That's not who we root for. Take it easy. Boo indeed. Boo indeed. Janice knows what's up. Boo. Okay, so if we really wanted to increase our chance of hitting land 4, we could play the Gargoyle. But when I have 2 cards that cost the same amount of mana, like 2 2-drops or 2 3-drops, the number one thing I think about is which is going to perform better in the late game. Oh yeah, because I could smash it with the Barbarian. Maybe I shouldn't have played it, yeah. But I also might use my mana on turn 3 and 4, right? Like, we know that, like, I have 3 drops, I have 4 drops, so, like, I might not get another opportunity to play it before turn 5. So I think it was probably right to play it, but that is good to be thinking about that at least. Like, let's say, hypothetically, I didn't have a 4-drop and my hand was just 2 3-drops in the trap. Then I could go 3-drop, turn 4, land 4, 3-drop, and then end of their turn play the trap and protect it from the Barbarian. But I very well might want to blow something up on turn 5. I wish I had gotten more Secret Doors. That's all I need for the Venture to the Dungeon for a blue-white control deck. I'm a big fan of Secret Door. Okay, I'm just going to play this first. This way, if we're going to start our venturing, we won't miss any extra triggers. Not saying it's going to live, but hopefully. Activation is 5. But if I don't draw land, I have the Gargoyle to venture into the dungeon that way. So, yeah, I think I'll just play the Gargoyle, right? If they counter it, I can't venture into the dungeon, whatever. I mean, later, I just need a land to do it with Secret Door. If I do get to venture, I'll get my 2 triggers. I could have played Trap on 2, yeah. And maybe that was right. I'm not saying it was definitely... But I also might have drawn a 2-drop on turn 2, and I knew I was going to spend a lot of mana, and that's pretty early in the game anyway. All right, so we can either get 2 life, each player lose a life twice, or 2 scry 1s. We definitely want this one. I think people choose Phandelver too much, but it's also still the one you should choose the most often. And given we don't venture a ton, but we double trigger each time, it's a pretty clear choice. I don't think we want to draw a 2/2 lifelink at this point. A land is a better draw than that. But I'll take that tap land. That means as long as Hama's alive, we basically win. So I'm cool with that. Next turn, I can play the 4-drop or the removal spell, and then the turn after that, if they haven't killed Hama, we've got Hama and Dungeon Descent basically for the double activate whenever we want. And I want land, to be clear. I'm holding a powerful 7-drop. I would also have topped a good card. Like, if I had looked at a removal spell that I could cast, I would top it, because I'll draw lands eventually. Oh yeah, another good point. So it is good to be thinking about not playing Trap against red because of Barbarian. But another good point was I already had Gargoyle in my hand, which is like a better artifact for them to kill most of the time. So that's more reason to just run the Trap out as soon as you have available mana, because I can't prevent them from being able to blow up an artifact if they want to. Okay, so we can't venture into the dungeon this turn, so this just seems pretty straightforward. Use all our mana, play our land. Not much, Mono Red Draft King. You should consider drafting more blue. You know what's better than burning your opponents? Countering things and drawing cards. Ask any pro. Oof, well, that didn't work out how I wanted. But I guess I couldn't blame myself. I can't really attack first. Like, I didn't want to miss the point. That's alright. We still have the Secret Door. If we can get a stalemate, we still win. We have a blue dragon in hand and a Secret Door in play. I'm not saying I'm happy about how that went, but I can't just put that card in their hand, and I'm not going to just attack first to play around a card I'm not particularly putting in their hand. So we can't kill the ward creature, so we can tap 5 for this, or we can play like this 2-1. That doesn't seem like good use of our mana. So yeah, I think we'll just activate Secret Door because there's pretty good value in the treasure right now because we're now 1 land, any land, away from Blue Dragon. Oh, attack, they're just going to block. That's pointless. But yeah, so the treasure has a lot of value for us because we're on 5 and 1 blue, so now we're on 6 and 2 blue. So now we're a land away from Blue Dragon. So I think that's a pretty valuable treasure. Okay, so we didn't draw the land. We can Ray of Frost the 4/5. Probably do that and just pay 5. Or we can Pit Trap the Guild Thief, but I'm not scared they'll spend their turn getting in 1. So I think this is a good opportunity to use the whole turn on Ray of Frost here. Am I sure? Yeah, I'll pay 5 for this card. I don't care. Got nothing great to do with the mana anyway. Other than that, we're just going to chill. It's a pretty even board, and we're 1 mana away from a powerful dragon, and we also have a powerful late game 2-drop. I mean, I already have the Spike Pit Trap to hit this Guild Thief. Like, it doesn't, like, draw cards when it hits. It just grows by 1. I'm really not that concerned about it. Kill it later. Okay, so I'm going to play this. I guess it doesn't really matter whether I play it first or second, and then we can attack with whatever because just the flyer, because they're not really going to have attacks. So we want -3, -0. I guess that one, 2 and 1. I really don't think this matters. We're just putting our big flyer down. I really don't like it, but yeah, they could have it, but what are you going to do? My other options for the turn were put out a creature that would not impact the board in any way. Okay, so they didn't attack. So we're probably going to attack with just the 5/5 flyer. I don't really see how we can do anything else. Where are we in the dungeon? 2 more activations? Sure. So we can get a +1/+1 counter. Well, actually, if we put a +1/+1 counter on the Pegasus, it can attack. But we're taking a pretty big attack back. That just doesn't seem like a good use of this turn. Oh, I guess actually with 7. I guess I could put a counter on the Pegasus and play the Arcane Investigator. That's not actually that bad. Why can't I get the counter? Oh, because I took the treasure, which I had to take. But yeah, okay. You're right. So in that case, let's just -4, -0 the Guild Thief. And we'll play the Arcane Investigator and Secret Door. I'm not like that concerned about attacking with the Pegasus. And we can't get the counter, as you correctly pointed out. Knowledge Sinkle. But if we -4, -0 the Guild Thief, that makes activating that, again, pretty unappealing. And we can still play the Investigator. It's a pretty good turn. So now we can complete the dungeon, but it's just draw a card. Are we far enough ahead that we can go plate armor, armor on the 2/3 flyer, attack with both flyers? Oh, wait, the Gargoyle is going to turn into a 3/4 flyer if we just activate the Secret Door, so that's got to be better, assuming we can just do that. Well, is it even better? I mean, we need some blockers. Not really sure what to do here. Guild Thief, I wouldn't say it's terrible. I'd say it's not great. Like, it definitely... They did something in the set that I think is kind of cool and I hope they'll stick with. They made a bunch of uncommons that look real fancy of varying abilities. And, like, some of them are not playable. Some of them are good, but not better than some of the commons. Some of them are great. I really like that. I think having to evaluate the uncommons instead of just assuming they're better than commons is interesting. I don't know if that was deliberate or not, but I hope they'll do it again. As far as this turn... I feel like we're pretty good. Like, we're pretty far ahead. I don't think we want to be too risky. I think I'm just going to trap the Chaos Chandler because I don't want them to draw a bunch of extra cards, potentially. I'm doing it now because if I get the treasure, I have 3 mana and I can cast something else. And then, obviously, I'll just attack with only the 5/5 flyer. Maybe I shouldn't have done that pre-combat, obviously, just in case they have a trick. So, hopefully I don't get punished. But, also, whatever. I don't really know how we lose this game at this point. I just don't even know if it's possible. I mean, maybe there's like that red card that does 8 or something that they could kill a bunch of my stuff with. But obviously, I think that turn was correct, but I should attack with Blue Dragon with the trap and my mana up. And then post-combat second main, I blow up the Chaos Chandler. If I get the treasure, I can play the Spy. If not, I don't. So I think I chose the right set of options there, but not executed well. Guild Thief is neither great nor horrible. It's a fine playable 2. You can start growing in the late game, but sometimes you can't get in the early game. Sometimes you can. It's just a fine card. Like, should not be in the sideboard of your blue deck, nor is it great. Okay, so we can venture into the dungeon and attack for 5/8. I think I'm pretty greedy. Turning on the Gargoyle doesn't have a ton of value. I think I want to play the Priest, because if I get a land, then I can do something else powerful with the 5 mana, like activate the door to turn on the Gargoyle. And if not, I can still play the Spy. See what we get. Okay, we got the land, so now we want to turn on the Gargoyle and just attack with the 2 good flyers. We're not going to die from 12 on the backswing here, but we're not looking to be overly aggressive. Just make our attack with our 2 profitable attackers here. And we have 4 blockers back. This way, if they, like, steal a creature and attack us with 6 creatures to our 3 or something, we're still not going to die. I don't know if they're, like, just seeing how close they can get me. I mean, this is clearly not going to deal 12. Okay. I was like, look, I love a milkshake, believe me, but, like, it's just, you're not dealing me 12 this turn without playing something. All right, so what do they play? They're a blue-red deck. They've got a bunch of little creatures. They got some decent removal. Pretty like, I don't know, I guess I would just call it like a vanilla-ish deck. Like, they're not doing much with synergy, and there's not like a ton of real hard synergy in this format. It's just basically fine playable cards and removal and stuff. So the removal is a Dragon Fire. We saw the trick. The Polymorph, also -2/-0, which they cycled at some point. Good to know. Plundering Barbarian, so we might want to err on the side of taking out artifacts, but, I mean, I think that they're going to probably be able to get something with that most of the time, because, I mean, we're not boarding out Cloister Gargoyle. I guess I could take out Spite, Pit Trap, and the other artifact, Plate Armor, on the draw. So maybe I will, since we saw Barbarian in the red. What do we have to bring in? There's the counter. They didn't have any particularly powerful cards. They were more, like, kind of aggressive. Target creature gains Hexproof. What did they play? They played, I mean, two mana instant removal and 2 mana trick. It's not a good card to board in something against like that. I mean, we could bring in, like, Clever Conjurer. Seems like it matches up fine against a lot of their creatures. 2/2, 3/2, 2/2, 1/1, 3/3 later, 2/2. Not going to be great. Maybe I'll just bring in your Ambushed on the Road as just another cheap trick. I don't really want this armor, I think. Armor's powerful, but I'm going to be on the draw against a deck that has plenty of cheap cards and flyers and stuff. So I think I would rather be able to save a creature that's already in play or pump a blocker than have a slow, powerful equipment. So, no real decisions. Just put out our 2-drop creature. Yeah, Conjurer actually is kind of better on the play, because if you have to block with it, it's not a very effective card. But if you get to untap with 5 mana on the play, you can get pretty far ahead. Okay. Hopefully they don't have any more of that. This card is one of the most interesting cards because it does a lot for 3 mana, but 3 mana mill 15 is just not a playable card unless you have another one, right? If you mill 30 cards, you win any game of Limited. If you mill 15, you've done nothing. So hopefully they don't have another one. If they have another one, we're just dead. Yeah, it's really weird. If you get like 3 or 4 of this card or ways to recur it or whatever, I mean, if you play this twice, the game is over almost every time. But if you play it once, it does almost nothing. Like, I still have 16 turns to win this game. That's the same as if I wasn't milled. So that's why this card is really weird. Play it twice, and it's one of the most powerful cards in all of Limited. Play it once, and it's a horrible card. So, just depends if you have multiple copies and ways to recur them and stuff. Okay, so we're not in a position to attack unless we want to use Ambush on the road. We're not going to do that with their mana untapped into a trick. That's just unnecessarily ambitious. Can't play much otherwise, but whatever. I can chill. I'm in no rush. I always say patience is one of my best qualities. Probably not going to Ray of Frost a Pixie Guide, especially against a red deck. I can kill an untapped red creature. Even if I just strand my mana. Like, I'm just not scared of that 1/3. That, on the other hand, I will Ray. Since it taps it and we get in 4 damage, seems good to me. And since Hold can only kill small things, that I don't mind using on the Pixie Guide. Yeah, +1/+3, good enough for me. Just round 1, Saul. How you doing tonight? It looks like we're going to be in round 2, unless the opponent has some broken rares. This is going pretty well. I think I'm just going to let them trade with Hama. If they don't deal with the Planner Ally, I win anyway. And I don't want to miss damage. I have more of them. Although I guess I can get 2 damage to each player right now. I'm way on the offensive, so this is a pretty clear Tomb of Annihilation spot, I think. Basically, with the dungeons, if you're going to play a long game and venture a lot, you want the Tomb of the Mad Mage. If you're on the offensive, like, pretty clearly, you know, like, you want to end the game as quickly as possible, you want the Tomb of Annihilation. If you can't tell, like, it's just a normalish game of Limited, you want the Fandelver. So, like, you do want the Fandelver the most, but don't be scared to take the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which is literally a game-winning, like, dungeon for, you know, if you're just going to keep doing it over a long game, or the Annihilation if you're up and you're aggressive and you're ahead. But if it's a close game, you generally want the Fandelver. Let me see if the round 2 opponent's ready. If not, I've got a deck. We can play some best of 1 games while we kill time. Oh, nope, they're ready. Looks like we've got Fen MTG next, and they're already done. That was actually one of my quicker matches, even with all my running my mouth. Oops. So let's see if we can get into round 2 here. Usually everybody waits on me because I run my mouth so much, but this time it says Fen MTG already won, so they're actually ahead of they're done quicker than that, surprisingly. I thought this time, you know, I might have to wait instead of people waiting on me as usual, but it didn't happen. That just is just factually wrong. Like, and I don't think Cuneo. I think Cuneo says a lot of things that, like, he's trying to lead you in the right direction, but he's somewhat trolling. Literally, just add up what you get from 2 Fandelvers or from 1 Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and it's not even that close. Dungeon of the Mad Mage towards the back end draws like 6 cards or whatever, right? It's like draw 3, get 1 for free, draw 2, play them immediately, scry 3 and scry 2 in the late game. Like, Fandelver doesn't even do very much. You get, like, a card, a 1/1, like, a treasure or a 1/1 whatever, like a drain for 1 or a 1/1 counter and a scry 1. Like, a completed Dungeon of the Mad Mage definitely does substantially more than 2 completed Fandelvers. The thing is, Fandelvers give you good things right away and are much easier to complete. So, like, you only want to go for the Mad Mage if you're not definitely, but if you're definitely going to play a long game and you believe it's likely you're going to be able to complete it. You can easily complete Fandelver twice and lose the game. It's literally 2 cards, 2+1/+1 counters, like 2 scry ones. Like, that doesn't just win you the game. Oh yeah, listen, I'm not saying that you should be taking Mad Mage over Fandelver anytime that you expect the game to go long. I mean, if it's a tight game and you need more resources quicker, I mean, Mad Mage does almost nothing in the beginning. It's just like an extra step or 2 to get going. But at the end, you win. It draws like 1,000,000 cards compared to Fandelver, which at the end draws 1 card. Like, drawing a card by the time you're completing a dungeon is really like, that's not going to win you a game. A lot of times it's just a useless land, 40% of the time, whatever, you go up a half a card. Whereas, like I said, the Mad Mage towards the end, it's scry 2, scry 3, draw 2. Like, literally it draws like 7 cards or whatever towards the end of the game. So, like, obviously, if it's a close game and you're not sure if you're going to get there, take the Fandelver. But if you're, like, in a stalemate or you've got a great defensive hand and your life total's at 16, you should be taking Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Dungeon of the Mad Mage is the one you should take the least of the 3, no question. But you should be taking it in some of those spots. If you're never doing that, you're definitely spewing. Like I said, I think that they're saying that as in to point out how bad it is. You know what I mean? Like, in the aggregate, if you're never choosing Dungeon of the Mad Mage, if Kunio and Elsphere are never choosing Dungeon of the Mad Mage, they're just spewing value. If you could start a game with, like, you know, like on turn 5, if you could push a magic button and get all the cards from Dungeon of the Mad Mage or get all the value from Fandelver twice, that's not even close. The ability to scry like 5, 6 cards, draw like 5 cards is so much more than what 2 Fandelvers does. It's like not even remotely close. But you'll lose a lot of games on the way. So what you're trying to actually evaluate is not which is better in the aggregate, because we're not looking to play aggregate Magic. We're looking to play Magic in the context of the exact specific game we're playing. So you don't want to know that, like, oh, if I always take Fandelver, I can't be making a big mistake. Whereas, like, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, yeah, it could do more than going through Fandelver twice, but what if I don't get there? You want to think about what is the likelihood in the context of this game I'm playing that I'll be able to get deep into this Dungeon of the Mad Mage before I die. And if you have repeated ways to venture and you have a good defensive hand and you're at 16 and it's turn 6 a limited, that's pretty likely. Now, if you're at 8 and you don't have a great hand and it's a close game, take Fandelver every single time because you may never get to the back of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I'm not exaggerating the power of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. In the late game, so obviously you're in the late game when you're doing those scries. You haven't gotten to the back of the Dungeon of Mad Mage on turn 5. Scry 2, anytime you scry a land to the bottom, that's practically draw a card once land is a dead card. So, like, in the late game, Fandelver gives you, like, let's call it half a card from the scry, a 1/1, a +1/+1 counter, so we'll call that a 2/2, a 1/1 and a +1/+1 counter, and a card. So you get a card and a half and a 2/2 from a completed Fandelver. Dungeon of the Mad Mage gives you 3 cards, 2 cards, that's 5. Scry 3 and Scry 2, that's 2.5 cards, so that's 7.5. Not to mention all the other stuff, which is not much, but that's... So, Dungeon of the Mad Mage is worth about 8 cards, and Fandelver is worth, like, a card and a half, and a 2/2. So, if I'm not, like, an expert in mathematics, I don't have, like, a PhD in math or anything, but if a card and a half and a 2/2 times 2 equals, like, 8 cards, plus I'm not even counting some of the little abilities, like, from it, yeah, maybe my arithmetic's just off, I don't know. The end of if you've completed a Dungeon of Mad Mage, you've gotten way more than 2 Fandelvers. Like I said, I think they're being hyperbolic because it's really slow. You won't get there a lot of the time. And Fandelver just gives you decent stuff right away. But as I said, you're not trying to play safe aggregate Magic. You're trying to make the best play that gives you the highest chance to win in the context of that game with all the information you have at that time. So if somebody said to me, will you take always Fandelver or like roll a die and get like one of the three or whatever, of course I would always take Phandelver. But that's not how Magic works. We get to evaluate the cards in our hand, the cards on the board, the amount of cards in the opponent's hand, the creatures in play, our life total, theirs, how well our deck ventures in the dungeon, and how well we expect to be able to do that from here, and then estimate the likelihood we'll get way towards the back of a Dungeon of the Mad Mage or not. And if you believe you will be able to, choose it. If you believe you are likely not to be able to, don't. Let me see what's up with Fem MTG. Try one more time. Limited tournament match. They probably just like took a break, went to the bathroom, got some food or whatever. They won really quickly. Because I honestly won pretty quickly for once. And they were already done. I'm not being hyperbolic in the slightest. I counted it the same for both players, Chips Ahoy. And of course, scrying a land that's a literal dead card in the late game is draw a card. It's just draw it on a 1-turn delay. It's draw it, but the game doesn't, like, if the game ends before you get to your next turn, then it's not. But if you literally just drew the top card of your deck instead of putting it on the bottom and the land does nothing for you, explain to me how getting rid of that and getting to 1 card deeper is not the same as draw a card, aside from some corner cases, like if you have a way to loot it into another resource or something. But if towards the end of a game, you have 10 lands in play, you have no ways to like discard cards to draw new cards or anything, and the top card of your deck is a land that you'll just never tap for mana in a productive way, putting it on the bottom and drawing it are literally the exact same thing. Like, assuming you go to the next turn and the turn after. They're not even, like, very similar. They're just exactly the same. Like, I mean, you deck faster or whatever if you end up decking before you win the game or something. And there's corner cases that do come up. Like, for example, if you have ways to loot in your deck, you can draw the land and then loot it out of your hand. But drawing it and never tapping it for mana, or putting it on the bottom of your deck and then drawing, like, the new top card next turn, same exact thing. I didn't. That's why I counted them as half a card each, Chips Ahoy. Because roughly half your deck is lands, so I counted Scries in the late game as half a card, not a card. Which is why you get a Scry 3 and a Scry 2, that's 2.5 cards. It's really like 2.2 or something, because it's really like 40% of your deck. And then you get the Draw 3 and the Draw 2. And then along the way, there's a Scry 1 as well, and like some other really small abilities. So 8 cards, counting the Scry as half a card is just undercounting, if anything. It's like 8.5. But I would call it 8 because of the fact that anyways, it's like more like 0.4 of a card than 0.5 of the card. Okay, I wish we had drawn first. Not that I'm ever going to choose to do that with a stack with very little removal. So we're going to keep another nice 2-lander to lose with, but if we draw land 3, the priest can draw an extra card, and this hand is good. Thank you, Dangle. Appreciate that subscription. It'd be pretty weird if you didn't subscribe, but I don't like to take anything for granted, and I appreciate your support. Oh, Scry early is completely different, yeah. Scry early can have almost no value in some spots. But in the late game, if a land is a dead card, if you don't have a way to loot it away, you're not going to spend more mana, then it's almost draw half a card or draw 40% of a card or whatever ratio your deck is lands. And again, there are other ways to turn the land into value. Like if you have looting, things like that, there are other ways to draw a dead land and then turn it into value, to exchange it for value. But there's not a lot of that in this format. There's not like a common looter, right? I don't remember looting much. Maybe you have like a rummage or two, you know, like the red uncommon, but you probably just already had another land to discard anyway. Like if that card's in your hand in the late game, you probably just played it, discarded a land, and drew 2. But yeah, scry early, the value varies greatly. Scry once lands are dead. Scrying a land to the bottom is draw a card once lands are dead. Unless you have a way to convert the land into more value, of course. Scry just varies a ton in value in the early game. There are some times where Scry 1 in the early game is almost draw a full card. Like, imagine you have a 2-lander like this one I have, and you don't have land 3, but you have 2 good 3-drops, right? How badly do you want to scry 1? Any spell goes to the bottom, any land goes to the top, right? But there are other times, let's say in the early game, your hand is just like 3 or 4 mana and a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 4-drop. What are you even looking at when you scry? Like, you know, you still have a bunch of 5s and 6s and mana sinks. The land isn't a bad draw for you. Are you going to scry a 2-drop to the top? You already have a 2-drop. So there are times, like the better your hand is, the less value scry has in the early game. In the late game, lands are just dead most of the time. So scry is already worth a bunch. And like it's actually more value than I'm describing it. Because in the late game, you don't only scry lands to the bottom. You also, for example, get to scry like 2-drops that won't impact the board to the bottom. Now that's not as valuable as drawing them because you could play them, but it still has positive value because you'd rather put it on the bottom and get to the next card than put a 2-mana 2/2 out on like a cluttered board in the late game. So when you scry a land to the bottom in the late game, it's practically draw a full card because the land had no value. When you scry like a 2/2 to the bottom in the late game, it's kind of like you drew like a third of a card or something. Like it's really hard to quantify, but clearly there's positive value there because you don't want that draw. It's a worse than average draw. So again, it's really complicated. I'm guessing that LSV and Cuneo were actually mostly being like hyperbolic on purpose. But if you think you can complete the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, you should be picking it. Like it is way more powerful than going through Phandelver twice. But it is incredibly slow. You don't complete it quickly or easily. It's a really, really slow dungeon. So pick it if you think you can complete it, basically. So as far as this game, I chose to play the Priest there because I didn't have a land. So while I can get 2 scries out of the Cloister Gargoyle, there's no way for me to get a land to make my land drop this turn if I play the Cloister Gargoyle. And this is turn 5, not turn 4. I played like 3-drop, 3-drop, 3-drop. So if I had drawn a land this turn, I would likely have played the Cloister Gargoyle for the double scry. But having not drawn a land, I decided to play the Priest and hope I spiked one so I could make land 5 and the Investigator. Thanks, Bad Time. Appreciate you gifting out a sub. Hopefully you aren't having a bad time, but I appreciate that support. Also, thank you, Habahut. Appreciate the compliment on the analysis. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and thank you for supporting it. Like I said, support for my content is, purely voluntary. I'm putting it out completely for free, so thanks to all of you who do support my content. I do really appreciate it. Really wish Magic was bigger and made more. Okay, so Cloister Gargoyle and Arcane Investigator looks like a great turn. Scry now has a substantial amount of value for us because we're looking for 1 land, but killing this Adult Gold Dragon probably has even more value. So I think what we're going to do, because we can't race a lifelinker and we just want to stop taking 4, so I think what we'll do here is attack and try and kill the Adult Gold Dragon. Oh wait, they can activate a land and hit me. Do I want to chump with the Priest or take, 7, 8? I'll just chump with the Priest. We're not winning this game anytime soon. Oh, I know they can't do it now. What I'm saying is if I attack with both and I kill the Adult Gold Dragon, I know classes are sorceries. They might activate it on their turn and hit me for 7 down to 6 life. I just don't need that. I'm going to pit trap the Gold Dragon, but should I do it now or should I do it on their turn? The advantage of doing it on their upkeep, let's say, is they'll have to tap mana on their turn to save it, but if they have a pump spell, I'll take a few more damage. There's like the +1/+3, that's only 1 more damage, and if I make them tap their white mana on their turn, they can't replay it, so that has a lot of value, but they probably wouldn't play that card off the splash. They're obviously splashing Adult Gold Dragon off like this Treasure and this Plains and whatever. +2/+2 is not that good of a card, they're probably not playing it. Probably just doesn't matter, but what are they going to do? There's +2/+2, green. I think it makes more sense to do it now. I don't think it matters much in this exact spot, though. I think it's unlikely they're playing, like, Make a Stand or whatever off the splash. And +2/+2 is, like, fine, but probably not in a deck with Druid's Class and Adult Gold Dragon. Yeah, Wild Shape. That Wild Shape's a good reason to wait. That's, like, the most playable of the tricks. And if they have that and I do it on their turn, they have to turn it into, like, a Hexproof 1/3 and they miss the whole attack, right? That's a good reason to wait. I think it was a mistake to do it on my turn because of Wild Shape. Yeah, +2 doesn't save it, you're right. But nonetheless, I'm just brainstorming all the pump spells at the moment. But I think Wild Shape is a good reason to wait because it doesn't pump it. It turns into a 1/3, which means I'll save the 4-point hit. So I think I should have waited because of Wild Clap, because of that specifically. Yeah, that Treasure was pretty nice. No complaints here. I don't think, like, Wild Shape's a great card in this format. There's just a lot of Death Touch, a lot of things it doesn't interact with well. Plus, like I said, I really don't like not being able to... Anything that doesn't, like, kill a creature directly or hit the board myself increases the chance that my opponent will be able to get ahead with their venturing and all of that, by attacking turn after turn. So I'm not high on Wild Shape, but it is definitely better than the green +2/+2 outside of, like, hyper aggro decks. And it's a very solid playable. And if they have it, though, there's a world of difference, right? If I do it on their turn, I don't take the hit for 4 if they wild shape. So that's why I think I should have done it on their turn, and it was a mistake. Okay, so this card's really good. I mean, we can lock it down for now. I mean, there's not really much reason not to do that. Past that, not very exciting. I guess we've got the half-elf monk to start tapping. Again, I don't really want to take a hit for 8 rather than sack a 2-1. I'm playing this kind of very conservatively, but, I mean, I'm going to be up on resources, and I'm way down in life. So I think that makes sense. I don't want to take a hit for 7 or 8, and I'm not going to chump with the white dragon, obviously. Okay. So unfortunately, we can't play this and get the multiple triggers here because it is legendary. But what are we going to do? I really want to get the half-elf monk out first and start tapping things, but I only have 1 plains, and I can't start sinking my only white mana into this until I've cast my white cards. So it looks like Gargoyle and Investigator, in which case it's Gargoyle first. So obviously I would never take Annihilation here, but I think it's actually pretty close between the Mad Mage and the Fandelver. So I can get 2 scries or 2 life. Creatures can't attack, and they have big creatures. I can venture turn after turn with the land and my Hamas. Yeah, I think this is a Dungeon of the Mad Mage spot. I mean, I know it seems more power, you know, I'll get a little more now off Fandelver, but that's not going to win me this game. And being able to stop these creatures from attacking looks good. Yeah, the upside of Fandelver would have been getting the Gargoyle flying, which certainly is worth considering, but after that last spiel, I think I gotta go Mad Mage, just on principle alone. I'm obviously kidding. I thought it was the best one to take. So I'm not worried about the Investigator's abilities, because I'm not going to activate my mana for it. I can just go into the dungeon or something like that. What does this thing do? Sacrifice it, look at the top 7 cards. You can reveal a dragon and put it in your hand, but there's on the bottom. Okay, add 2 mana of combination to the amount of cast dragons. Jeez. Wonder how many good dragons they have. I mean, they've already drawn 2 of them. The Icing Death here and the Adult Gold Dragon. Don't know if they have more or not. Okay, so I like the blue dragon. Obviously, we're 1 mana short of casting it at the moment. That's kind of unfortunate. So it looks like for this turn, we can play the monk or venture into the dungeon. Again, I'm not super interested in going into, in getting the monk out before I can start activating it. So let's just get our 2 scries here so we can find a land to cast blue dragon. And we can trade with this thing, right? They just get a good equipment, and then we can make their thing unable to attack. So I think I'm going to bottom island with the first one. I know I have blue dragon, but plains is a lot more valuable for me than island. That said, I want to cast blue dragon next turn, so now I may need to take it. So I bottomed the first island because I got another scry. The second island now is a lot tougher. I still think I might bottom it. If I draw a land, I can cast the blue dragon. If I draw a spell, I can cast that. If I go in the dungeon, I can make their 1/7/7 unable to attack. So I think I'm just going to bottom this. I want to get the blue dragon going, but it doesn't need to be now. So I want to trade the white dragon for this frosting, I think. The equipment is just like +2/+2 and tap, and then I can always make that unable to block. Although they denied that ability with the spoils. But this game's not over. We're looking bad, but like I said, we can lock down the 8/8 for a turn, and we're going in the dungeon, and we have a blue dragon, so I think this is looking bad, but I don't think it's unwinnable. I am under more pressure than I would like, but also, I don't think a +1/+1 counter was going to save me there. They would have still spoils away the thing, the gargoyle, as a 3/4 flyer, maybe soon. But remember, we wouldn't have it yet. We get double of each room. We don't get to go 2 rooms at a time. So I still wouldn't have this gargoyle, like, going off yet. Okay, so anyways, fly and attack doesn't even work. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to lock down their planes this turn, I think. What else can I do? Oh, wait, I can lock down both, duh. So even better. So do I want to fly? Is my 2/3 ever going to be able to attack? Probably not. Okay, so the land is a little helpful. If we play Blue Dragon, the smallest we can make this is a 6/6. So it's still bigger than all of our stuff. So it's still going to be a rough turn. I mean, obviously I can chump with Hama because I have another one if nothing else. So Blue Dragon should get us through this turn, and it's bigger than their other two creatures. So again, we need them to do some bricking, but this is a winnable game. Even if this is a 6/9, it still kills Blue Dragon. Double blocking still doesn't kill it. So I think there's not much sense in really shrinking it. So let's go with, I guess, 3, I don't know, 2. I don't think this really matters. Actually, probably better the other way, but whatever. Yeah, I don't think this particularly matters. They don't really have a profitable attack with the 9/9 unless they draw... I mean, with anything besides the giant land, unless they draw something. If they do, I'm going to lose anyway. I'm obviously not beating removal from this position right now. Okay, so we have to block the 9/9 this turn, then we can start tapping it. I really don't want to lose my Hama Dungeon Descent engine here. My library should be pretty good, though. I've drawn a lot of lands, and I bottom 2 already, so that's 4, 8, 10. So there's only 7 more lands now to draw in the top 18. If I fly, I can get 2 room activations, which at this point is just Scry 2. In future turns, that'll be really good. But how can I attack with the Blue Dragon right now? I can't. I need it to block. So I think it's just I have no real choices. It's just Hama and the Monk. Chump with the Hama, even though I'm not happy about it. And then I can start tapping the 9/9 with the Monk, and I'm stable for now. Not saying it's looking good, but I'll take it. Don't do anything. Don't have stuff. Come on. What are you doing? Untap, draw, play a land. You can play like a 2/2 or 3/3. That doesn't matter much. That's not good. So, well, my creature's bigger than both of their dragons, so I guess it's not the end of the world. I mean, it is another good creature I have to deal with, but it doesn't kill me on board, and if they attack with everything, I get to just eat something, so. Okay, they do kill the 1/4 this way, though, which shuts off the tapping, so that's not great. But I think these blocks are pretty much scripted. I mean, I could kill the 4/3 flyer instead of this 4/3 flyer. That doesn't seem like it accomplished anything. I have to block with all 3 of my creatures. I'm going to lose the 2/3 and the 1/4. So yeah, my only choice is which of these dragons I kill. And obviously I'll kill the one with lifelink, not the one that turns into an equipment. So it's starting to look pretty bad. Fly isn't going to help us. Block something on a watch, die. Yeah, we're dead. Let's take a look what they have real quick. So they can destroy an artifact or enchantment. They can deal 2, the little dragon thing. Pretty nice deck. I mean, we weren't dead until the end of the game. Just because we were on the back foot, like, if they didn't draw listen, I'm not saying I got unlucky. They drew a few spells. Limited decks have spells. This is not complaining. But if over those last 2 turns, they just, like, brick, I turn that game and then I lock it up with the dungeon activations in the matter of a couple of turns. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I got unlucky. They have a really nice deck. They play better cards than me. Like, you know, I'm just saying, like, that game was not that far from winnable. Like, it became over when they, like, bought back the Gold Dragon and then also, like... yeah, Bar the Gate's probably good against them, actually. And so are all these counters, because their deck's not aggro at all. They just gain life and have, like, nice dragons. So we'll try and counter all their dragons. Be, like, a good, original, true blue player. Except that's not the counter spell. That's Hexproof. I do have 2 of the counter. I just didn't put it in. Then we also want powerful card drawing for the late game, probably. And, like, we're going to board into, like, more of a traditional control deck. Because they're not aggro. If they get a really aggressive draw with a few cards, so be it. I'm interested in countering their dragons. Okay, and then I think we're going to need one more island at least. I'm not sure whether I'm going to cut this land or not, because it's actually good if we play a long, slow matchup. But I think we need the island nonetheless. Don't think I love fly here. Or anywhere. Not boarding out those cards. Non-land permanent, so I can get that Rangers thing. Okay, so I'm going to leave the hole in. We're not boarding those out. The armor can go, maybe. Really like that card anyway. Can't really board out too many of the 3s here. The Pegasus can go. The Rhyme Shield can go. Guess, no, I need the instant. So I guess the Sudden Insight I really don't want to cut. I don't need 18 lands. I just need 9 blue. Can I cut a Plains, or do I have to cut the Dungeon Descent? I have to cut the Dungeon Descent. Who am I kidding? So that's 17. So what do? We got to cut out one more card. We don't really have much more time. I don't know. I want all these. This is probably not right, but I want all these counters in, and we're running out of time, so I'm going to cut one of the 3/2s, draw a card. Not saying that was correct. It might not have been. Yeah, maybe I should have took out a Hama since I cut the land. I don't know. Like I said, I think I'm going to draw. Well, I boarded in a bunch of counters. I could definitely draw. When do they start playing powerful cards that I want to counter? Yeah, not before like turn 4 or 5. I'm going to draw first. Well, the perfect hand to lose with. I mean, it's not good, but we're on the draw. We got a Steadfast. We got 9 islands. I don't see how I mull hands like this. I know I'm going to keep it, not get there and lose, but like, I have 2 lands, a white 2-drop on the draw. These are single blue, like 9 islands. Hopefully we'll draw islands. Their deck's really nice. I'd like to be able to put up a fair fight. Yeah, like Saul said, split the party's only good for if you're really aggro. Okay, that's good. So at least we have a game. So if I attack and they block, I can deal 5 to it. I don't even gain life. That's just not even a good turn. Especially because I can just trade one of the Hamas away and then play another one since I drew 2. Another reason I don't really care that this card's legendary, because like 2/3s just die. Like you can just trade them off. I mean, obviously it's worse that it's legendary, but it's just not a big deal. It's a lot worse when you have creatures that don't die that are legendary. Okay, so what are we going to do? Secret door, and here's something on the watch. No real decisions. Can I attack? Not really. Okay, just chilling. No real choices. If they have something, they have something. If they don't, they don't. I obviously have to play my only card here. Yeah, you can't deal 5 to a blocking creature. I know that too, but basically, like, it does +1/+1 to the attackers, but that just doesn't work. So, if they have, like, a trick or an instant removal, they can get a 2-for-1 if I go for a double block. Just not sure how much I care about that. I already have another Hama. I think I just double block here. Maybe I triple. No, I don't even care. These creatures are near worthless. I'll just double block, and they probably have something, but maybe they don't, and they're just attacking, hoping I wouldn't block with Hama. Little do they know, I have another one in hand and another one in deck. All right, looking good now. So we can sit behind our counter if they have anything powerful. But what could they even have? They would have already played, like, those white dragons. I probably should just play my creatures. The only thing is, this 2/3 right now really isn't doing much, but Planner Ally... Well, yeah, but if I play Planner Ally, then it is. And if I activate Secret Door, then it is. So, yeah, there's value in getting it out. And, I mean, their dragons are scary, but at the moment, whatever. I lost that game more to the 10/10 land than the dragons. Not hating on the dragons, they're both excellent. But I think I can beat a dragon with White Dragon and Planner Ally and so on. All right, so we definitely want to make some blocks. We're not scared of losing any of our creatures. As far as pump the team, there's not really much, right? So let's just make some decent trades. Remember, this 3/2 is not going to get in if these live because they're untapped. So we'll just go ahead with these even trades, I guess. I don't know. Seems fine to me. Okay, so this card's kind of scary in the late game. Turn into 4/4, attack with pack tactics, everything gets +1/+0. Yeah, that's good. Not unbeatable. think for now I just have to play the Monk this turn. The reason being, I need to be able to kill the Shepherd so the Roper stops on tapping. So if they want to make a big attack here, they can, and it's going to be sweet. But then the Roper will stay tapped, and next turn they'll be on tapping only the Targ. Because I'm going to double block the Shepherd with the Monk and the Hama. If they don't send the Shepherd, then the Roper doesn't untap. So, okay. So like I said, we're going to do that. Just got to take the rest. This is important because even though Hama for the Shepherd here wouldn't normally be a great trade, I've got tons of ammo in hand. I just want to stabilize, and the Roper won't keep on tapping because they don't have that Ranger class thing that made it on tap every turn for the rest of the game last time. Yeah, my draws aren't good this match so far, E1, but this is still a winnable game, so hopefully we'll draw land, we'll go Planner Ally into White Dragon, win this game, and then get a good draw in Game 3. Okay, so definitely going to play Planner Alley here. I really want to tap the Roper, actually, because then it doesn't on-tap. So maybe this turn, I chill. I tap the Roper, and I leave up the counter. And then next turn, I can play the White Dragon or the Planner Ally. I mean, tapping, if it was only going to stop it for the turn, obviously that would be a bad play. The thing is, it's not going to on-tap. So I kind of kill it by tapping this turn. So I think I like that. And obviously, I'll just do it now then and save get in 1 point of damage, right? It's weird because we're tapping their creature on our turn, but we can do that since it's not going to untap. And now I'm not really scared. Like, if they want to attack and pump and deal 4 to me, okay, but... Oh, that's an easy counter. I found the villain's lair. Okay, White Dragon or Planner Ally. I would Planner Ally to get that going first, but I think we want the White Dragon because if we draw land, we can play Planner Ally and activate the Half-Elf Monk. So I think we want to use all 6 mana here is the main reason to play White Dragon. This isn't a horrible tap. I mean, this is a creature that pumps and could theoretically attack, but also we could tap much better creatures with White Dragon in the late game. But the real reason for the play in this case is if I draw land, I can play Planner Ally and tap with Half-Elf Monk. So I want to get the 6 mana card out of my hand. Okay, so I don't really mind trading the White Dragon for the Targ, but I don't really want to take a hit for 4. I'm way up. So I'm actually just going to hold it back. I know this is a pretty conservative play, but remember, they're at 27. Yeah, I got to close out, but if they attack with the Targ, I'll block with the White Dragon. If they pump, I Time Walk them. I know I could have Ray of Frosted it, but I don't want to do that. I want to save Ray of Frost for like a giant thing like the Rangers class land or some giant dragon or whatever, because I have so many resources up on board right now, and I can have a good turn just blocking Targ with White Dragon. Okay, so I can tap that and then lock it down with the Ray of Frost. If they draw a land, I don't really want them to double pump the Targ this turn. I could just attack with both and let them trade this for something, and then they get that equipment. It's pretty good, but they don't gain life or anything, and I can lock down the Targ and the next creature they draw. So I think that's probably correct. Hey, we got a raid. Thank you, Jean-Emmanuel. Really appreciate the raid. So I don't know. I have a few options here, like I said. I mean, I don't mind trading with this thing, even though it leaves a good equipment behind. I think I just attack with the 2 flyers. So let's see again. 1 life, scry 1. Definitely not Annihilation, of course. We're not on the aggressive. This time it's probably right to take Fandelver, I think, because we don't have that much ability to get to the late game, and we're going to win with our flyers long before that. The reason I chose Dungeon of the Mad Mage last time was because we didn't have any aggression, and they were at 35, so we were only going to win with Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This time we should be able to win with our board advantage, I think. long before we would get to Dungeon of the Mad Mage completion. Yeah, they might take it, but don't forget, I can just, like, you know, if they play land 8 pre-combat, I can, like, tap the Targ, I can take a hit for 4 and then Ray of Frost the Flyer. Like, I have options. I think that's what I'm going to do, actually. I think what I'm going to do is activate the Secret Door, and then I still have the Half-Elf Monk up. And if they don't play the land... Oh, well, actually, all the better. Now I can just make a chump blocker. I forgot about that. So now I'll just tap the Flyer, chump block the Targ with the 1/1. Okay, what's the next level on this? So I can get a +1/+1 counter, or drain for 1 or -4/-0. +1/+1 counter on the White Dragon gives me the Sky advantage. I don't even know if I want that. I kind of just want to attack. I mean, I did just draw Contact Other Planes, so I should probably just cast this. If I draw a land, I can still play Half-Elf and Ray, and if I don't, then I'll see my options. This has to be better than activating Secret Door for not a particularly exciting dungeon activation this turn. Right, I can't get -4/-0. This time I'm on the other side of it, so it's +1/+1 or drain for 1. That's one of the most annoying things about the dungeons. It's fine, it's cool, it makes sense. I just always forget it when I start planning and then figure it out halfway through. Okay, so I don't know whether we need 2 blue or 2 white. There's not really any way to know that. We have 1 white ability in the Monk, 1 blue card in the Ray of Frost. I do want 1 land, but either land is fine. So if we look at 2 lands, 1 bottom, 1 top. If we look at 1 land, I'll probably top it. Does Portable Hull help us? Yes, it takes care of Targ. That's excellent. Okay, so we'll take both those then. And this works. Now we can now I call this card Porta Potty. Now we can Porta Potty the Targ and then tap the Flyer, and we're pretty much just good. I mean, I guess they do have a 4/2 attacking us, so we actually kind of want to account for that, though. If it was a 2/4, it would be irrelevant. I'm just going to take it or block with the Secret Door. I'm killing them pretty quickly with these Flyers. It's not a huge problem. Yeah, I'll take a point of life over +1/+1 to make it a little harder to drain me out. I know a +1/+1 does more now, but, like, you know, it'll deal 2 or 3 damage or whatever. But who knows if they can Xaxes me somehow with Double Strike or, I don't know, a card that does 5 or whatever. I know, yeah, the counter on the door was a reasonable... Oh, you know what I maybe should have done? Put the counter on the Half-Elf Monk. But I actually thought about the counter on the door, but I just decided, like, I don't care about that. Because I'm not going to be activating this. I have the ability to spend 2 mana a turn with the Half-Elf and 5 next turn, and I'm drawing another card, and the game's ending in, like, a turn or 2. So the Secret Door is near worthless beyond as a chump blocker from this point. But the counter on the Monk might have been good. But actually, I'm not... That's probably better than a drain for 1, yeah. The counter on the Monk would have been the right play for sure. Okay, so anyways, just attack with the Flyers, see what we get. Yes, I could have played the Hama first, but it's just not important. I'm still not even planning to play it yet. I know I missed the double draw. It's just not... I don't need 1 more card. The game's ending next turn. What matters now, Ray of Frost on the Flyer, keep mana up for the Monk. Hopefully we get a game 3. Obviously, if they attack the Moon Druid, I'm going to block. If they attack the Bard, I'll just take 3. There's no 1 card that can hate me with that, I don't think. Cool, we got our game 3. Okay, so I like the counters against them. I didn't see anything that changed that. I don't particularly want the hexproof. They have great creatures and not much removal. Don't know if they're going to choose to play or draw. I could see that going either way. No, listen, keep pointing things out. Sometimes I just miss things. Like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I thought about that, but I don't think it makes sense based on the context of the game, and I explain why, and it's still a good question. My philosophy is not, you shouldn't correct me because you'll probably be wrong. My philosophy is, it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. If you're thinking it, this is a large stream, so are a bunch of other people. So just say what you're thinking so that I can explain why it's wrong, and then we can all learn. Or you can counter me and point out what I'm missing and why I'm wrong, and then I can learn and we can all learn. Basically, we all learn regardless of who's right. So if you're thinking something different from what I'm doing, yeah, think it through a second time, a third time before you just post it. Make sure you're not just forgetting first strike or something that's not actually a learning moment for the stream. But if after you've thought it through and you're confident you're not missing anything, by all means, point out, suggest any play. I know, listen, every Twitch streamer is different. Respect every streamer's, like, you know, what they want. I appreciate backseat streaming. Like, by all means, you know, if you've thought it through and you have good reasons and you're confident you're not just missing first strike or something, by all means, suggest the play. Okay, so what do we want to take out? So sudden insight, I think I want this against them, right? We're trying to counter things, play a long grindy game, and then win with cards like this. Contact on the draw is going to be a lot worse than on the play if they choose... Well, I choose to draw, so maybe I should have brought that in the first place. But it does play well with these counters, but I'd rather have an extra body, I think, when I'm on the draw. Could take out third Hama. I do think it's good, but I don't think it's, like, amazing in this matchup. Not going to take out the removal. I think the ambush on the road is going to work out pretty well. All right, I'll take out the third of the legend if I'm looking to play long games, and I took the land out. I don't think the 4/5 word's going to be good because they win with a lot of flying dragons. The 4/5 word is really good, Hypnotoad, when your opponent's trying to beat you on the ground. It's like a giant roadblock. But if I play that and they hit me with a dragon in the air, it's going to be too slow and not an effective 5-drop. Well, there's a good hand on the draw because it's like a lot of cheap cards and a counter. Pump spell for the Soul Knife Spy. See if we can steal this one. I definitely think their deck is better than mine, no question. But I can answer some big flying dragons. I'm not some little helpless aggro deck. I've got some counters, some removal, some card drawing, so hopefully we can get it done. Oh, and they mulled to 5. Wow. I didn't even see that, so that's good for us. I mean, I never root for anyone to mull, but I'll take it. They have a fantastic deck with all these dragons, so I definitely need to get a little lucky if I'm going to get to the finals of this pod through this deck. Okay, no real decisions. I'm going to attack and play the Soul Knife Spy. So I'm not going to hold... So the thing about counters that is good in Limited, they can fill out any spot on your curve. And countering bigger things later in games is more powerful than countering cheaper things early in games. So, like, obviously if I knew they had the white mythic dragon in their hand or something, I would choose to leave Bar the Gate up. But my default play in this spot is always going to be to play the Soul Knife Spy, because I can get more value out of the Bar the Gate later in the game. It can fill in any spot on my curve, and I'd rather counter bigger, better things later than, like, cheaper things early. Now I am going to leave it up just because I'm up so much. I don't really want to add a 2-1 to the board. I want to counter what they play, hit and draw more cards. I guess I should probably use this one first. I'm going to go with the Annihilation this time. I think we're just like way up and we want to end the game quickly, right? Unexpected, but I didn't think I'd be Tomb of Annihilationing much with this deck, but from this position, it definitely seems correct. So with Ray of Frost, can we stop any of those dragons or any really good things they might play? We can hit the 4/3 Flying Haste immediately. If they play the white one, we can't really hit it, but we're also not that scared of it. And the Half-Elf Monk taps things anyway, so I think this is play the Half-Elf Monk. I don't think we need the counter up here. Ophidian plus counterspell, I agree. And, like, I don't mind this. Like, yeah, I don't like the 4-point life swing when I'm ahead, but I get to draw another card, and then I can just tap it. Like, this is basically, we're in complete control from here. Remember, lifelink's hard to race, but I've got a 2/2 lifelinker. They have a 4-power lifelinker, and now, like, it's under control. Don't ask me why I didn't send the Half-Elf Monk. I just missed it. Yeah, I know. I just completely missed it. Like, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't strategic. I just flat out completely missed it. I know the Monk, obviously I'm aware it has Vigilance. I've attacked with it plenty of times, but yeah, I just completely and totally missed it. We're winning by so much, I can't really focus anymore. Like, I've said this 10,000 times. I play my best in games where we're a little behind. Actually, like games 1 and 2 of this match, right? Both games 1 and 2 of this match, they were winnable games. I was a little behind. Those are the kind of games where I usually play my best. Once we're winning by this much, like, I don't know. If you can stay focused when you're winning by as much as we are in this particular game, like, you know, congrats. But I'm thinking about the finals of the pod at this point. Not to take anything away from FemMTG, their deck was way better than mine. Like, it matched up pretty well because I had all those counters to bring in against a bunch of, like, slow, powerful dragons. But, like, their power level was way better than mine. Like, and then they had the rough mold to 5 in game 3, obviously. Okay, so we're up against the Nerdy Steve in the finals of our pod. Unfortunately, they beat G Guards, who beat us last week and then won, I think, if I remember correctly. Or did I lose to them or Icky last week? I think I lost to Icky and then Icky lost to G Guards. But they were the winner last week, and so it would have been nice to get to play them, but instead we're going to play against a Nerdy Steve, see how we can do. I'm definitely not a Nerdy Steve, because I'm a Nerdy Ben. My parents didn't name me Steve, but, you know. Yeah, counters, if they're going to trade up several mana and take out power cards every time you cast them, are going to be excellent. The problem is a lot of times you fall behind and they're awful. Once we saw what the opponent's deck was doing, that it was like all about life gain and ramp and just like power late game, then the counters became really good sideboard cards for that matchup. Yeah, I guess 6 Foot Gnome. I mean, I've been Ben S for 20 years, so if you want to try and change my nickname to Steve, good luck. Yeah, they had a rough mold to 5 in game 3, I agree. To be fair, though, game 2, like, my draw was fine, not perfect, like, their draw was fine, and the counters did do a lot of good work and stuff. Obviously, with game 3 with a mold to 5, like, I had a good hand and they're on a mold to 5, so that's not, like, the best Magic. But games 1 and 2 were pretty good. Both game 1 that they won and game 2 that I won were both pretty good games. The S in Ben S? Obviously, it's for Stark, but does anybody know what my middle name is? Unfortunately, it's not Steve. It's Scott. But my initials are BSS. BS. Lots of BS up in here. Wait, it just switched from G Guards to the Nerdy Steve. Maybe it was misreported. Maybe we do get to play G Guards. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at the bracket. It definitely said the Nerdy Steve before. Now it says G Guards. They maybe misrecorded or something. I don't actually know who won, but I'm going to attempt to challenge G Guards. I'm not going to say I've been enjoying the set. Like, it's a pretty boring set. It feels very core set-ish. The mechanics are not that strategic in their use. Like, it's just a very overall, like, kind of boring limited set. But I hope and I think they'll get back to the complex sets. This is meant to be the core set of the year. It's meant to bring in new players. It's D&D themed. Hopefully with the next set in a couple months, they'll be back to the call time Strixhaven level of complexity. What was the best of the last 4 sets? So they're this set, Strixhaven, Call Time, and was Zendikar before Call Time? Zendikar is one of my faves. So definitely Zendikar Rising if that's in the past 4 sets. Oh yeah, of course 6 Foot Gnome. I mean, listen, I would rather play Limited with this set than the best standard format of all time. And I don't say that because I'm like, I mean, it's just not even close in my opinion. The in-game play in this set is so much better than the in-game play in an average game of Standard. An average game of Standard is opponent plays card, you must answer, play a Planeswalker, opponent tries to remove the Planeswalker and loses, does, and wins. Like, it's just... Standard has really not been, like, healthy in a very long time. I did not see the Lakers traded for Westbrook. Did that just happen, Dangle? MH2 is a lot of fun. It's a really fantastic limited format. And I really hate Magic Online. Like, I played Magic Online regularly from 2002 when it came out to, like, 2017 or 18 or whatever when Arena did. After I started playing a lot of Arena, since then, I find it physically painful to open Magic Online. Well, I mean, it's funny because did you used to enjoy Standard? Like, I always enjoy Standard, just always less than Limited. Like, Standard is not horrible. It's still like Magic Booster Draft is the best game in the world. Magic Standard is like, you know, still a top 10 game in the world, maybe number 2. Like, you know, it's just always worse than Limited. And I don't, like I said, I don't get anything, like, it's not like I'm like, I don't own Limited stock. I mean, yes, at this point my brand is attached to it and everything, but the reason I play so much Limited, the reason my brand got attached to Limited and all of that, is because I always thought it was so much better than Constructed that I always did the bare minimum Constructed testing and played as much Limited as I could. Like, it's just more fun, in my opinion, when the in-game play is close and interesting and what you do matters, than when it's like, must answer each card played. I mean, listen, I'm not saying there's not skill in Standard. That's been demonstrated that pros beat worse opponents more than half the time. But the games are so obvious and scripted and repetitive. When do you switch gears on the fly in Standard? Occasionally you see some really nice high-level plays, you know, but you'll see the pros play around something other people wouldn't have, and that matters, and it's worth a lot when you do it in the right spots in Standard. It's roughly as skill rewarding as Limited, but it's so much less like skill intensive. Once you've played like 5 games of a matchup, maybe 10, you've probably experienced most of the matchup. Okay, so I'm going to keep this hand. You know me, I just don't believe in mulling hands like this. I'm just against it, so hopefully we'll draw land 3. If we do, it's a great hand. I'm not that worried about the 6-drop. We already have a card drawing 3-drop, a potential another one. If we don't, then we're going to lose. Oh, that could buy us some time. So, hopefully a land. Come on, land. Let me run hot for once. Well, it's not a great land, but since we drew the 2-mana removal spell, we don't fall that far behind. We can hit the ghoul here and start playing our 3-drops next turn. Given I kept the hand I did, that's about all you could really ask for. This is a pretty greedy play. Since you care so much less if the Shambling Gas dies, I would probably attack with it. Like, I'm going to attack into my opponent's open mana in this spot if I'm G-Guards, because what if they just don't have the trick, right? But if you're only going to attack with one creature anyway, if you put the Talisman on the Ghast and attack with that and leave the Ghoul back, you force me to use something on the watch to kill the Ghast or strand my mana. So the upside of sending the Ghoul instead is 1 more damage. You get the Talisman drain as long as you attack. You're only attacking with one creature. So I totally agree with their attack there, but I would definitely have sent the Ghast wearing the Talisman, not the Ghoul wearing the Talisman. I don't know. When I clicked on the page, it said Steve, and then it switched to G-Guards. I'm going to assume they just misclicked when they were reporting. It just said it very briefly. Maybe I'm going crazy, but I think more than likely it's just like, you know, misclicked really quickly on a recording. All right, well, I'm going to trade aggressively, but not at the cost of not drawing cards, so we'll take that and see if we can attack with the Spy. Well, sadly, no profitable attack with the Spy. That said, I probably want to make them trade. Nah, I might get that in. I have a pit trap out and stuff. Just going to chill. Yeah, I said that the black player next to me was going to thank me later, right, Fishers? I passed a heck of a black deck, a better deck than I have, but I think that I drafted correctly for my seat. But, like, you remember in pack, like, 3, we opened, like, Asmodeus and the Talisman, and, like, black was just quite open. Okay, so I'm going to trade this. Not super happy about giving them the treasure, but, of course, like, I have to trade them off with their creatures because of the Talisman. I think playing the Spy over the Priest was good. If they weren't able to equip the Talisman and play a 2-drop, they would have had to not attack or I get to draw cards. If I knew what they were going to have, I would probably not make the same play, but I think that, like, it was the right play, given I don't know exactly what they have. Yeah, I do like Asmodeus. I think it's a good card. I don't think it's broken, but I think it's, like, a solid 6-drop that can win you games. I don't mind some of the time you pay a few life for a couple of cards. Some of the time you pay 10 life and win the game. So, I mean, that's a pretty good 6-mana 6/6. The problem with powerful card drawing is generally that you fall behind when you play it. But, like, since it's a 6/6 body, that doesn't really happen. So we definitely can't take any more hits. Oh, wait, I can just portable hole here that Talisman. Okay. This is actually starting to look semi-promising. I'm not saying we're doing great, but if I get rid of the Talisman, we're fairly even on board. I'm going to not attack with the Pegasus. They have a massive life total advantage, but we have a massive resource advantage if this game just goes on and on and on forever. So let me just hit that Talisman, get that broken card out of there, plan for a long game. I mean, they haven't played lands for several turns, so I'm pretty scared of their hand. There's not really anything I can do about that. Just hopefully I'll be able to answer it with the Pit Trap and the White Dragon. The thing, Bike Dog, is you don't have to, like, draw those cards. So, like, let's say you're at 3 and you need a 6/6, so you play it. All right, you don't get your next draw step, but you're at 3, so either you or the opponent's probably going to win soon anyway. Whereas the games where you're both just at 18, it just single-handedly wins the game. And, like, if they're a little ahead and you play 6/6, what are they going to do? Not attack so that you, like, have to take one to draw your next card? So you can just trade your 6/6 for one of their creatures. Like, I think Asmodeus is a really cool design, and I think it's definitely a good card. It's a rare. I haven't had it enough to say, like, whether I would take 4 mana, destroy a creature, make a treasure over it. But if you're leaving Asmodeus in the sideboard of a black deck, I think you're making a mistake. Thankfully, Porta Potty's an artifact, not an enchantment. Menace here could be problematic, I guess, but can only block 1 creature. So what do we want to do? We can get a free kill on the 2/2 with the 2/3 and the 0/4 and take 4. Go to 4. They all have Menace, right? Or we can, like, take 1 less damage to trade our 3/2 for the 3/3, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we'll take our free kill, I guess. I mean, I don't love it, but all we can really do is prevent 1 more damage if we want to, like, put a Spy and the 0/4 on the 3/3 and take the others. No good options there, basically, is what I'm saying. This looks like Pit Trap on the 6/5, probably while they're tapped, I think. So can I attack with the Spy? If they steal this, Pegasus, I don't need cards. I need to live. My hand is absolutely loaded. I don't know if we're going to stabilize or die, but I don't need to attack with the Spy and draw a card. What I need to do is not die and play all these cards in my hand. Yeah, so the thing with that, OC3, I'm down to moisturize and lotion and all of that while the beard is in itch mode. Now, if I don't get used to the beard and it's just not going to ever stop itching, then obviously I'm going to shave it and go back to clean shaven and shaving every 4 days. But so, like, I've been lotioning, I've been face washing, I've been doing everything I could to make this itch bearable while I hopefully get to that point where it stops itching. I'm 37 years old, and the longest I had gone without shaving since I was, like, 17, 18 years old, before right now, was, like, 7 or 8 days. I've tried to do this before, and I've always cracked by, like, day 6, day 7, day 8, when it was just, like, full itching. This time I've just been taking it, I've just been doing a lot of work and focusing and just, like, you know, lotioning and just ignoring it. I'm on, like, day 12 or so, day 11 maybe. I haven't kept perfect track, and it's still itching. But we'll see if it goes away or not, right? My goal is to never shave again. I just plan to take a beard trimmer and just give it a little buzz, like, you know, every couple weeks and never have to actually razor my, like, because it usually starts itching for me after about 4 days after I shaved. So I used to just shave, like, every 4 days. You know, like, you'd see me, sometimes I'd have scruff, sometimes I'd be clean shaven. I used to just shave whenever, like, it was right about to start to itch or it would start to itch. So you're talking about, like, day, like, 4. So my goal is hopefully to get to the point where the itching goes away and I can just have a little buzzy beard trimmer and I can just buzz it like every couple weeks or something and never have to shave again. That's the goal. All right, so they have Menace again. So again, we can only block 1 creature. I don't care about a free kill on the 1/3 now. I'm very interested in not taking another 3. So I think this is an automatic block. Just double block the Hoarding Ogre here. So for this turn, we need to answer a 6/5. We can't really do that directly, but we can double block with the Ally and the Pegasus. Thanks, Dangle. Appreciate it. Oh, I forgot about the treasure. I could have tapped it. I'm not sure if that was right or wrong, but I completely forgot. Good point, Iwan Karamasa. So let's evaluate that, because I didn't even consider it as an option. So if I White Dragon the Beholder to get through this turn, the treasure's gone. What's the value of the treasure later? Not much. What's the White Dragons out of my hand? Yeah, I should have done that. I didn't even consider it. I just missed the treasure. The better play for this turn would have been what Iwan said, which is sack the treasure, cast White Dragon, and tap down the Beholder for a turn or two. Yeah, I mean, we'll just double block. It's I don't care if I lose both of these creatures. Again, I have a 4/4 flyer, Hama, and the land, and a gargoyle, so getting 2 for 1 doesn't scare me. It was just a cleaner, better way to answer it right now. Would have been to just White Dragon it last turn. Remember, all we're really trying to do is stabilize. That's the goal here. Well, that's scary. That's not the last card I wanted to see. They have like 1,000 treasures. Hey, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the subscription. Sweatsuits and Bed, a more iconic duo. I know this is like Hunter's Name tournament, but they kind of did name it after me, too, to be fair. I do live in basketball shorts if it's hot, sweatpants if I'm going to the casino or Magic tournament or it's not hot. All right, so what are we doing here? 2 blockers. They're going to draw a bunch more cards. I can't stop them. I wish I could. This is really scary. So yeah, I don't really think I have any choices this turn. This is fairly scripted. And then I can double block the Beholder with the 4/4 and the 2/3, and that's a fine double block. So I can, 2 life, 2 scries. Definitely not get Annihilation, obviously. It's the opposite of what I want. This seems like a Mad Mage game. I'm trying to win with this card advantage, and I want life now. Seems more like a Mad Mage than a Fan Delver. Haha. LSB and Burrito is probably the most iconic, yeah. Oh yeah, red-black is the best deck in colors. I definitely agree on animosity. I'm with everybody else on that. But if you force red-black, and so does everybody else, if there's 7 red-black players in the pod and 1 blue-white player, the 1 blue-white player is going to have the best deck. So it's about finding red-black when it's open. You should look for it. I agree black and red are the 2 best colors in the format, and black-red combined has good synergy and is the best deck in the format. No arguments out of me on that one. I know I, go deep on everything, so I end up with some different opinions than some other people. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But I'm with everybody. I don't be a contrarian for value ever. I'm totally with everybody that black-red. If you ask me to rank the colors in this format, black and red are 1 and 2. And if you ask me to rank the archetypes in this format, black-red is number 1. Just no question. That said, I think all the colors can win. I think if you get a good deck in any colors and your colors are open and you have good cards, this is not an avoid a color format. This is a format where you understand black-red's the best deck, you look for it, you understand black and red are the best colors, you prioritize those cards a little bit higher at the start of the draft, and then if it's open, you draft it. If it's not, you look for what's open. I think blue is the worst color. Green and white are pretty close. I think it's more useful to rank things in tiers, because you don't want to create, false, separation. If black is a 97 and red is a 96, and, green and white are, 88 and 87, and blue is an 80, the most useful way to think about that is black and red are tied for the best. Green and white are roughly the same and worse than black and red, and then blue is the worst. Because Magic's not a game of get it right, win, get it wrong, lose. It's a game of, amounts of value and trying to grab as much of it as possible. So you don't want to think to yourself, black is better than red if black's a 97 and red's a 96. You want to think, these two are pretty much the same. They're equally good. Okay, so I have to block, so we'll just chump because we can't kill it. So this is just whichever creature we value the least. They're all kind of useful in different ways. Assuming they're not going to play a flyer, I probably want to block with the White Dragon. Do I have any ways to bounce the White Dragon profitably or anything like that? A reason to leave it out as a 2/2 flyer that's not attacking or blocking effectively? Not really. Okay, so I'm just going to jump with that then. If we assume flying won't matter against black-red, hopefully it won't, then I think that's the weakest of the cards I have in play. Yeah, ATX, but I agree with that, but you don't end up playing, you don't have to play a color based on what your first 3 picks are, right? If you draft, a black card, a red card, and a blue card of the first 3 picks, not even a blue card, and then it appears blue is open, and you're not seeing black and red cards, that's how you end up blue, right? And sometimes the best card in the pack is blue. Windseer's fine, Charm Sleep is fine, some of the uncommons are good. Yeah, well, now it matters, but a 2/2 flyer was also not going to stop this, I don't think, but I guess I could have gotten 2+1/+1 counters on it, potentially, but Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't planning on them playing Westgate Regent this turn. So what do we do now? Do we have any options? Are we just dead? I have to get to the creature can't attack, which means I have to go in the dungeon twice. Can I do that? I can double trigger the scry, but can I actually go to the dungeon twice? I don't think so. So I think we're just dead, right? Well, I guess this turn it's only 4, so I shouldn't concede yet, clearly. So then in that case... Well, let's go to the dungeon. What am I doing? I can just activate this, right? It's obviously better. Tap my creature, not tap my creature? Yeah, I'll probably go with not tap my creature. I guess next turn I'm going to be able to make the Regent unable to attack, so... The game's looking bad, but I don't know if it's over. Unfortunately, after it doubles to an 8/8, this blue dragon is even really going to help us. How many outs do we have for the Regent long term? Let's assume next turn I'm, like, somehow fine. I take 4 and go to 1. But then, like, what can I do? I could Ray of Frost it. Charm Sleep it. Okay, so I actually do have a few outs. So I'm going to bottom blue dragon. I don't think that's going to be effective because this thing's going to an 8/8 this turn. Obviously going to bottom that as well. It's bad because I'm still chumping the 6/5. Maybe I should have chumped with, like, one of the 0/4s. So, like, but, I mean, if I triple block that 6/5 and go to 1, I'm just losing all their 1-power creatures anyway. This was a good game, but they basically won this game when they played the Skullport Merchant. Like, I could, even those back-to-back Baleful Beholders, I blocked, I went to 4, to 3, like, I could have turned this game. But once they played the Skullport Merchant and drew, like, 10,000 cards, it became very hard to win. Okay, so I need the Hama out. I'm going to double trigger the creature's not attacking this turn. Seems like a pretty easy block with the Investigator. It's my worst creature, and it's not attacking, blocking, or getting activated. Yeah, the word's annoying, but what are you going to do? I'm going to discard a card. Hopefully a land that I draw. If not, second copy of Hama, probably. So, yeah, no real options. Do this or die. But we can stop 2 creatures from attacking, so we're not dead yet. Again, I'm not saying we're going to win. I don't think we are. Yes, I'm sure. And I think it's more likely we're going to need to double spell. I'm actually going to discard the Hama here and play a land. If we can get a dungeon activation and play like a removal or something, that could be pretty important. So black-red, lots of little grindy creatures. This is pretty standard black-red. Saw the one good artifact to kill, but then the Pit Trap's not really a great target. Scry's not helping us this turn, so I think we're just dead. And even if we weren't, we're not going to win this game. But, sure, Luchador, yeah. Okay, so they're black-red. They have a lot of cheap stuff, Westgate Regent. They do have 2 6/5s as well. This person is definitely going all in on that full curve, which I support. I think people are playing way too many 2-drops. Not that they're not good, they're good. But this, to me, is a full curve format. Like, you want to have 4s, 5s, 6s, and plenty of 2s and 3s. Which is why I don't like stuff like card drawing, like discard, counter spells. I want my cards in this format to hit the board or be powerful in the late game. But I don't want, like, situational stuff that can result in me getting run over or things like that. Or not be effective when you're 1 card behind in turn 6 and things like that. But anyway, so counters are medium. Not as good as against the Dragon player, but still reasonable. They have 2 6/5s and a Regent. But I think against them, I might rather just play. I don't want them to start hitting me with those 2-mana 1/3s. I think we'd rather just try and get ahead. Although counters are actually better on the play. So what do we have that's weak? We're not going to take out the Portable Hole. Did they have removal? Fly is bad against removal, but they actually didn't play very much. They have a Pit Trap and a Precipitous Drop. Yeah. And neither of those are even really instant speed. I mean, Pit Trap if they have 6 up. So I think we want the Fly. So I think like Conjure, Bar the Gate are things we could consider on the play. Definitely want these dragons. The 4/5 looks good against them. They have a bunch of ground creatures. It doesn't match up well against the 6/5 though. Maybe I'll take that out on the play and board it back in on the draw or something like that. Because, I mean, the 4/5 matches up well against a lot of their early drops, but it matches up pretty poorly against their 6 drops. Pegasus is probably good on the play to give these Soul Knives flying. Plate Armor's just not Like, it's just such a slow card. Like, it has its matchups. Like, if they're a turtle type deck, if they're looking to block all the time. But I just don't like that card in general. I know it's good, so, like, I draft it and play it, but I'm going to board it out when I'm playing against a black-red deck that I think is going to have a better late game and menace, and it's just not what I'm trying to do. All right, we're definitely going to play on, like, the last matchup. Like I said, they have 1/3s that make treasures when they hit and 3/3s that make treasures when they attack and so on. We're trying to get out in front of them. So, no choices here, of course. Just play the tap land. I'm not that worried about leaving Ray of Frost up in case they play a really good red 2-drop or something. So, if they don't have removal, this game's looking good. Hopefully they'll play nothing or a red creature, and then I can Ray of Frost it and attack and draw cards. Soul Knife Spy does match up pretty well against Sword Robber. Well, that's a better creature than I wanted to see. But I can still make the Charm Sleep attack play, and I think I'm going to. Since I still have Ray of Frost for the next creature, and drawing cards is life. I don't, I've been really trying not to be hyperbolic these days, but I think that's just a fact-based statement, right? Drawing cards is life. Not like Magic the Gathering gaining a few life, just literally the point of life. I don't love giving them these treasures, but obviously, in order to draw cards with the Spy, we got to do it. So we got 5 now, so we can play, what, Investigator and Hama, and then next turn we can start activating if we want to. Seems good. Attack would be horrible, they just block, so... Okay, looks like this is the time where we just play our creatures. I don't think this is really that close to any other options on this turn. I mean, not that it's like a fantastic turn for us, but... There's not really anything to Ray of Frost. Like, if we attack the Spy, they'll just block with the Ghast, so... Just gotta chill. The Merchant's a good card, but, I mean, we're not like a control deck in the sense that we're gonna be countering and drawing cards. I mean, we're gonna be playing things and going further ahead on board. They have a sort of free kill on the Investigator in that they can sack the Ghast, but what am I gonna do? Like, if they remove the Ghast, then they have to stop the Spy again, and if they plan on stopping with a red creature, maybe I can kill it with Ray of Frost. I don't think that Investigator is gonna get activated, because I have the land and the Hama, and Secret Door. So it seems highly unlikely I'm gonna activate the Investigator at any point. Oh, the Regent. I mean, I can Ray of Frost it, so it's not the end of the world, but it's obviously a really good card. This turn looks like just like Secret Door and activate it. I don't see what else we can do now into the Regent, but it's not the worst. We get the double activation and all that. So, of course, not Annihilation again. This just doesn't interact with creatures. Do I really need to trigger this? No, I'm going to need to win the long game again. Again, Fandelver gives you a little something now, but what is a 1 Scry 1 this turn as opposed to next turn doing for me? What is a +1/+1 counter or 2 doing for me? It's just not what we need. We need to Ray of Frost, Westgate Regent, grind out a long game, get to that value to win. And I'm not saying it's going to work. We're very likely going to die before that, but... I don't think the 1+1/+1 counter or the 1/1/1 was gonna save us if we would have died. It's a pretty nice draw. I mean, we have to Ray of Frost this turn, and then we can discard the planes. Oh wow! But then we only have 4 to work with, so we can't even activate the land or the Secret Door. Am I going to discard Blue Dragon? I really don't want to do that. I wish I had had the Blue Dragon last turn, because then I could have made the Westgate into a 1/4. But now the Blue Dragon doesn't even stop the Westgate the turn I play it. So I have to take another hit for 8. I don't think that's really an option. I'm not saying they're useless, Mr. Fancy Pants. Nothing, no resources are generally useless. I just don't see that swinging a game from this position. So what do we want to do here? Our options are like Blue Dragon Well, we could shrink the Westgate, so we would take a hit for 5. So that's actually not that bad. So I think we do want a Blue Dragon, right? Oh no, the ward. Ouch. I can't even do that. Wow, that was really bad. Wait, what am I... Yeah, I'd have to discard the Ray of Frost. Okay, so I have to just Ray of Frost and discard Blue Dragon now. I just punted pretty bad. Well, I actually didn't punt that bad. Discarding Blue Dragon here is probably wrong, but it's not actually wrong by that much, because I get to do a double dungeon activation instead, so I get 2 scries and I get to advance in the dungeon. I'm not even sure if it was right or wrong, but I thought about this wrong. I decided I would Blue Dragon and take the hit for 5, but I forgot if I Blue Dragon the Westgate, I would still have to, like, discard a card. So that's why my play was wrong there. That's how I messed that one up. Assuming I could, like, this was only spells on ward and not abilities, then I could have done that. Okay, so I want to top that. It's not exciting, but it's a flyer to block the Mana Core, so I do want that. Plus, I can always jump the spy, get a card, and then I have a flyer to block the Mana Core. It's a pretty good turn. But yeah, so my options for this turn were basically Ray of Frost, the Westgate region, discarding the land and holding the Blue Dragon with 6 in play, which is probably right. But even though discarding Blue Dragon looks really bad, playing the land is really good. Playing the land means I get to double, like, scry and get 1 step closer in the dungeon. So I'm not sure which was right. But I forgot that if I went with the Blue Dragon line, I still have to discard a card. So I was thinking, like, you know what? I'll shrink the Regent for -3. I don't care if it doubles its counters or gets 5 more counters because I'm going to Ray of Frost it after. So I'll just take the hit for 5 down to 8. Blue Dragon stops the Mana Core. And then next turn I'll Ray of Frost the Westgate. That was what I thought. What I messed up was that if I Blue Dragon the Westgate Regent, I have to play the land to do it. And then I have to discard the Ray of Frost, which I obviously can't do. So that's where I messed up last turn. All right, I don't know if they're going to kill me or not, but I'm going to pump the Spy, get my card. I need to play the Pegasus to try and block the Mana Core. I know they can kill it with the trap, but I can't stop that. Yeah, Skullport Merchant is really, like, what won them both of these games, basically. I mean, the Regent closed to a degree in game 1, but really the Merchant value is that was the real win in both of these games, the value that Skullport Merchant provided. And no doubt about it, Skullport Merchant is excellent. It's not like the Talisman, but it is like a very good uncommon, just no question. Alright, so what are my blocks? 0-4 and 3-3, they can then kill with the 1-1, that's not that big of a deal. Hey, G-Guards might be about to go back-to-back. Mad respect. I'm pretty happy to get to the finals of this pod with this blue-white deck. I was in a tough seed, I think. I opened some bad packs. Also, their black-red deck here is incredible. This is like textbook beautiful black-red. Like, decent cheap removal, grindy stuff, good late game, stuff all up and down your curve. Like, this deck looks excellent. I got lucky to win last round. I think the matchup was relatively good, but I think my opponent's deck was better than mine. And this opponent looks to have the best deck in the pod, so hats off to G-Guards. Let's see if they can win back-to-back. So for now, I'm not conceding yet. I am probably going to lose, but I'm at 4 from the flyer, so I'm at 5. What are my blocks? I can, like, double block the Hoarding Ogre, throw the 0-4 on the 1-3. That looks right. Oh, no, they can sack the Shambling and -1 it. Yeah, I just can't win. This is, like, I literally don't even have options. Like, nothing I can do is good here. Like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm practically in surrender mode. Like, because, like, they can sack the Shambling Gas, so I can't even double block the Hoarding Ogre with the 2-3 and the 2-1. Obviously, that would be a profitable block otherwise, because it's a 4 power and toughness on a 3-3, but they'll just sack the Gas, hit the 2-1, and then the Ogre will eat the 2-3. So, I mean, like, there's just, like, I have no profitable blocks, nothing I can do, my board is crumbling. They could draw a million cards from here with Skullport Merchant. Like, this is, like, I'm losing from all angles in all ways. But I'm honestly pretty happy with my deck. Not because it's that good, but I think it was a tough seat. I think blue-white was the best deck I could draft in that seat. And I think my deck's sweet. Like, I think it grinds well with dungeons in the late game with the secret door and stuff. I wish I had gotten, like, a little more dungeon. I don't think I need a ton more, but if I had, like, one more secret door and, like, one Delver's Torch and maybe, like, a Dungeoneer, I would be a lot happier with my deck. That said, I'm super dead. I'm not drawing cards. Good game. I surrender. Hats off to G-Guards. If they can win, they advance to the regional semifinal. Let's see if they can go back-to-back. That's going to be it for me tonight. I really appreciate everybody who tunes in. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you had a good time. Feel free to check out the YouTube channel if you want a little more content. I know I haven't been making a ton these days. Same thing I always tell you. Just like I come on every Thursday, I came on last Tuesday. I'm not streaming a ton right now, but I'm not going anywhere either. So if you like my content, you don't want to donate or subscribe right now, I fully understand. I'm not making a ton of content right now, but by all means, just follow me and you'll see anytime I'm on if you want more of what you got tonight and you enjoyed the content. Other than that, I'd like to raid G-Guards. I don't know if I know their Twitch name, but they definitely earned it. No more tonight, Ewan, but I do appreciate the sentiment. It is a big compliment. And I will definitely bear in mind that, people do seem to really enjoy my content. And I really appreciate that. And if I do have some opportunity over the weekend, I'm definitely not promising anything. But if I do, I will try and pop on. For now, I want to raid G-Guards. Does anybody happen to know their Twitch name? Thank you, Socks. Like I said, what I can promise you is I'm not going anywhere. I can't promise you specific amounts now. I'm working on a bunch of things, and my life's going to be somewhat different in 6 months. Not in bad ways or anything. I'm just I incorporated. I'm buying a house. I'm literally doing my taxes for the year and my business and learning how to do that. I'm playing a ton of poker to try and raise more money in case I need more for the down payment or to buy the house. It's just a nightmare right now in my life in terms of amount of work, but it's good problems to have. It's I'm comfortable and I'm doing well and I have a lot of options and I'm just doing a lot. But I will always promise I'm not going anywhere. I'll be playing Magic next year. I'll be playing Magic the year after. I'll be making some videos. I'll be streaming. So thanks to everybody who still supports my content and follows me. I do really appreciate it. For now, I'm going to leave you in good hands. G-Guards won last week, so they're on a hot streak, to say the least. It's a lot, Dangle, more than it should. I started playing Magic in 1994, and I quit the Pro Tour, but I never quit Magic. I don't think there's ever been a set I didn't draft on Magic Online, when it came out, So I've been playing since 1994, so it's a pretty good bet. But I'll also be streaming and making content. It's not an all or nothing thing, right? I could not stream for 3 weeks, and then I could stream 10 times in 1 week if I want to. So, I'll be around. And I do appreciate the support. Y'all are awesome. Not only supporting me, but all the great Magic streamers. Thank you to all of you who tune in and night out, who subscribe, who donate, make Magic Twitch streaming possible. Y'all are awesome. I say this from time to time, and it's 100% true. I'm going to leave on this note. If when I was 14 in God, don't make me say it, 1997, if somebody had went up to me and said, you could theoretically make a living just by drafting and streaming drafts because of 1,000 people will watch you on the internet every night, I would have literally fainted. Yes, we didn't have Twitch or high-speed internet yet in 97, but literally even if I knew, if they told me high-speed internet was coming, which they probably knew, I didn't know, I was 14, but people in the tech sector could probably have predicted that in 1997. And then streaming whatever, if somebody had said that, I would have literally fainted. The idea of that I could draft and so many people would be interested and would tune in and subscribe and make small donations and all that just to support it would have literally I would have just dropped dead on the spot, honestly. So thank you to all of you who make this possible. Y'all are awesome. Let's root for G-Guards. They beat me. They won last week. They're definitely killing it right now, so gonna root for them. Other than that, have a good night. Good luck in your drafts. Let me see here. Raid. And then what is their name? Just G-Guards. Okay. So do really appreciate the support. Good luck in your drafts. Enjoy your dice rolling. Enjoy D&D Limited. Like I said, I don't think it's a great format, but I think it's worth playing a little. It's balanced. It's interesting. The games aren't the world's most strategic. It's probably a format I'm going to play 50 to 100 drafts in and then never think about again. But I'm not hating it or anything. And I will see you next time. Good luck, G-Guards. Good luck to all of you this weekend and all your Magic and everything else.